psychometry and not see it be done. So you go back and you find Latin, some of the original verses for the Roman Empire.
Thank you so much for coming on this hangout. I'll just introduce everybody because we all know who you are now. But we have D, obviously he's in the UK. Patricia's UK. Ceres is my group partner and he's in Holland. We've got Richard UK, Patricia UK, Wilson from Canada, and me UK.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hello. So
I am so excited to actually meet Dave. I have to say hi to Dave. You remember when you put up your first video?
What, my very first?
Yes.
Crystal Bay stuff.
Well, actually, that wasn't the first. I think the first one was about the financial system.
Yes. You also put up a video about human perception and how a picture can be very deceiving.
Yes.
And do you remember?
Yeah.
That video, I remember sitting down and watching it for the first time, and I was completely oblivious to any of these kinds of ideas or behavior. I've seen a couple of videos before that, but the way you presented the information, the way you explained it, and I'm a very logical thinker, I was like, this man is on the money. This man, and he's talking sense. And it influenced me greatly. After watching your videos, I think I watched pretty much, well, as much as your videos as I could actually find. It changed the way that I think and the way that I look at the world around me. And the person that I am today is because of the things that I seen, the things that you said. So I want to let you know I appreciate it very much.
Gosh.
welcome.
I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Oh. Well, sometimes when you're a bit of a warrior, sometimes you're marching on. And anyway, it's just to let you know that you are appreciated.
Oh, well, again, thanks. I mean, I just, I put these things out because, you know, I started on this journey to find the truth, whatever it was, you know. And, I didn't know anybody else was interested, to be honest.
You must see it's grown, though.
Yes, I have. But what's funny is that, I put out a video, other people copy it and put it on their channels, and they get more views on their channels than I get on mine. So.
Yeah, they can't find your channel.
But you know, it's not about how many views I get. It's how much information gets out there, and if it helps people, then it's all worthwhile.
Yeah. So you were going on GMTV, and it didn't happen. What happened there then?
Sorry, Karen, you're cutting out.
I'll take my camera off. Hang on. I have a lagging problem always. Too much going on my computer. 1 second, Scott. That's it. You were going to be on the television, and it didn't happen.
Well, okay, I didn't hear, but I'm guessing what you said. Yeah, I was going to go on this morning on ITV. It was like, for those not in England, it's a morning, early in the morning show. I was going to be talking about urine therapy, but morning of the 22nd, they called me and cancelled. A vague excuse about scheduling problems. And, immediately I thought, oh, it's me, it's about the subject and all that. This Manchester thing happened. And the morning I was supposed to go on, the next morning, they weren't, this morning wasn't on at all. so it's as though they had full knowledge of all this.
Mhm.
I think. Yeah, I think again that the report went out like about half an hour before the event on social media or something. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so to me it's obvious, and it's one of those things I end up in the middle of, you know.
Yeah.
Did it mean like you had to go on about talking about urine therapy, although that must be something you're into, otherwise you would be talking about it, when really you'd like to be going on the television maybe about other things like the earth, what we are, or is that what happens? You have to pick another subject maybe to get somewhere more media-like?
I don't know. I mean, the TV thing came about because somebody heard about my urine fast and phoned me and interviewed me on the phone, and then sold it to all the newspapers, and then the radio picked it up, and then the TV picked it up. So I think urine therapy is starting to come more into the mainstream. I think in this country, flat Earth is going to take a little while longer. For Macedonia, but you know, I think English-speaking countries is going to take a lot longer because you know, we're in the belly of the beast here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, as soon as you just mentioned the Macedonia, I should say that's the video, the very first video I watched about flat Earth subject, and yeah, it was pretty much by the end of that one video, I was a flat earther. So
Really?
yeah, because I mean, I've got to say at the beginning, you started talking about religion at the end, and that almost put me off because at the time I was still thought I was an atheist, and well, yeah, that's not true anymore.
Right. Well, that's what happened to me too. You know, total atheist. I mean, rabid atheist. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, flat Earth was the final nail in the coffin for me. You know, I had to accept that there was a creator. So, as I said in the end of one of my videos, the best thing I could do is actually find out who he was and what he wanted. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because series, what's your point? Who am I? What am I? And what am I doing here?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to actually find out the answers to those questions. So yeah, hence my latest video, which obviously isn't going down well in some quarters.
Yeah, it's funny how some truthers don't like the truth.
Yeah. What is funny is when they say, "Oh yeah, I'm, you know, you're right on the point with urine therapy and the flat Earth and the monetary system and that," but no, you know, you've gone way off with this. You know. Yeah.
Into portions of history. Please, everybody, stop me if I'm breaking up too much. But I've been looking into portions of history about the megaliths, about how modern societies, and when I say modern, I mean within 3,000 years, have built our societies on the ruins of these very ancient societies. The ruins that were found on the ocean floor, the idea that we have nothing on our planet now to move any of these megaliths. The older system, I found an old video talking about these Egyptians that were using a material that was for like a sunscreen, and it was very, very popular, but they wore it all the time. And but you know, I was thinking that that there is places out there that we don't know, that this place is much larger, and you know, they had to go somewhere. This this old concept of what we believe God is, or the gods are, or who the divinity is, to me is kind of like, it's almost like it's mistranslated. There's something wrong. There was book burnings by the Jesuits. There was misinformation. Things were translated over and over again. At this point in my life, and I was a very strong Christian, I'm iffy about how the mainstream, or even how the religious and educational system, that information is. It makes me feel fearful that, you know, if I listen and go along with what a lot of people are saying without trying to find the answer of where that's rooted, am I actually doing the wrong thing? You know, and that's why I keep voicing my opinion on it, because it's not that I'm telling everybody, you know, the Bible is 100% wrong, this is wrong, and that's wrong. I'm saying, no, it's a tainted pool that empires have put their hands into it. The murky water from the clean water, difficult to know what's what.
I would agree. I would agree with you, because obviously I've been researching the Bible, obviously, the Old Testament, and obviously it's been translated you know, several times. The King James is 1611, with the Apocrypha, is the closest you're ever going to get to an English version of the Bible. Yeah, because of who had it translated. King James, if you look at the foreword of the book, he explains why he's having it translated. He said it was because the Roman Catholic Church was deliberately trying to hide the word, hide the truth. He was a Hebrew Israelite. He was a direct descendant from King David. He was his grandson was the last in that royal line. It was replaced by Ashkenazi Jews, but he was a direct descendant, and he had a vested interest in trying to get the word translated into English. Now, the problem with translating it into English is that Paleo-Hebrew is fundamentally different from English. Okay, it's if you get into Paleo-Hebrew, it's the most amazing language. You can if you can sort of find enough, because essentially it's a dead language. It's the most amazing thing I've ever come across. Yeah, it literally fills you with joy when you really get it. Yeah, English is a symbolic language. That means that the letters are just symbols. They stand for sounds. The words we use are just sounds. And the way you understand the language. Oh, somebody stop me if I talk too much.
No, carry on. Carry on. Please carry on.
I agree with what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay. Yeah, so every word in English is just a sound. We understand the language is that we are taught by rote, by repetition. The sound river means a moving body of water. River, moving body of water. River, moving body of water. What does river mean? Moving body of water. Good. Yeah, that's how we learn the language. We learn it. Paleo-Hebrew is not a symbolic language. It's a concrete language and a pictorial language. So every letter is a picture of something, and the meaning of that letter, is to do with that picture. So the letter A is a picture of an ox head. Okay. Yeah. So because the ox was the strongest animal they knew, so the letter A means strength, power, leadership, first. Yeah, all words like that. Okay. And you don't just cherry pick the word you want. It means all of them. And you listen to all the meanings and then get the feeling of what those meanings mean to you. Yeah. Right. So that's just one letter. when you put those letters into a word, that word means the story that those letters make. Yeah. So let me give you an example. The word for son, as in male child, yeah. That is the letter B, which is the floor plan of a tent. Yeah. It means house, home, family, bloodline, that sort of thing. Okay. And the letter N. That's the sort of picture of a seed, a shoot, a little seedling growing out of it. That means continuation, growth, bloodline, blood, you know, that sort of thing. It means seed. So you put them together, it means continuation of the family. That's what a son is, a continuation of a family. Young children get this language. When you sort of present them with these word pictures, they get it immediately. Adults take a long while because they've got to stop thinking here and feeling here.
Yeah.
So that's why the Bible kind of sounds very allegorical and translating this concrete language into an abstract one. And what I mean by abstract is, you know, you might say in English, it's a nice day, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, what's a nice day? You know, and what's a day? Can you feel a day? Can you hold nice in your hand? Abstract, yeah. In Hebrew, it would be the sun shines brightly on my face. That means it's a nice day. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
It's so much more beautiful as well.
It is, and you know, when you start looking at word pictures and you get it, you can look at these pictures and go, that means this. It's like, oh, amazing. Like, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, when you learn on their true original meanings, the whole list of it actually, and then you put them together, and then you can actually choose what it means in that sense.
Oh no, you don't. It doesn't work like that. You don't.
It's but it's built up out of these words per letter, what it can mean.
Yeah, but you get like a long list of meanings, okay? But you don't go through and choose the meaning like you literally have to in translating into English. Yeah, you don't choose one meaning. You take all the meanings, and then you absorb them, and you get the feeling of what that word means, okay? And that's how I'm able to hide a lot of information. Yeah, there's a lot of information that's hidden because they've created this fake Hebrew, which is Yiddish.
Sorry, am I on here?
Yeah, we can see your face.
Carry on.
Sorry, you can see Wilson's face. It's just I don't know what he's doing. Sorry, what are you doing, Wilson? Carry on, Dave.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so there's this fake Hebrew, what's called modern Hebrew is fake. It's Yiddish, Aramaic in there, and it's literally there to hide the meanings of things. I'll give you an example. It's like the word for devils is the word Sair, which is S-A apostrophe I-Y-R, okay? So you look at that and it means demon, shaggy, hairy, he-goat, and it stops there, okay? But if you look further, the fake Hebrew, there's another word that's spelled S-E apostrophe I-Y-R. Okay, looks like a different word, yeah? But then when you realise that there are no E's in Hebrew, an A, so it's the same word. But unless you knew that, you wouldn't connect the two. And then you get those two words, you get an expanded list, which actually points to a particular people who are the devils. So this is why it's taken me 3 years to research this, because it's been, you know, looking through lexicons and then finding not only the words that have been hidden, But in that word, for instance, the IYR is another word. It's a root word, and it means angel, which is the fallen angels. It was a class of angels that fell to earth. Okay, so you add to the mix, and like you get a very rich picture out of one word. You get this rich picture of who that refers to. Yeah, I know I'm going over the top of this, but it's such an amazing language.
It's like a title of a book.
Sorry?
It's like a title of a book. You just refer to the title, and you see the whole book already behind it in that sense. If you have read the book in that sense.
And when you say it's like 2 or 3 chapters in one word, you know.
Could I just say that Alan has joined us. Alan lives in Scotland. Alan, just say hello to Dave.
Am I back?
So,
Hello, Dave.
Hiya.
Nice to meet you.
Alan's doing research in free energy.
Oh, okay. What are you concentrating on, Alan?
I've been working in free energy devices for quite a long time. Well, 0 point. I've had quite a lot of success with it. I've got units running just now.
Okay, what kind of design are they?
The first ones I was working on were with plasma, but this is electromagnetics and quartz crystal.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm working on at the moment, and trying to make it smaller.
Okay, is that the Kesh stuff?
No, the Kesh doesn't want that. That's fake.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's what I thought actually, because they had a Kesh workshop here, and I'm like,
Just flat Earth.
Can I just say something else? I know Alan won't mind me saying. Alan's another very interesting person who comes on our Hangouts. I've met Alan. He has used equipment where he's picked up the firmament and he's heard the Earth's heartbeat. Alan, do you want to just explain a little bit more?
Yes, it was really through the research work we stumbled upon. We were using scalar waves.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, Wilson. Alan's just talking at the moment. I can hear you. Carry on, Alan.
Wilson, can you mute yourself? Sorry, go on.
I think each one of us would probably like to sit here, Dave, and keep you for about 10 hours, 20 hours, and keep talking to you. But anyway, Alan, just explain your work then. Alan?
Yes, I've been doing a lot of research work throughout the years on the free energy, and I stumbled upon this effect where I could hear a beating sound, which we since found out is the Earth's heartbeat. The reason we started the research work was initially for free energy, but we found by using different scalar wave processes, send and receive them down in the Earth, that we could prove the firmament, the dome reflection.
How was that working? You were transmitting something and getting a response.
Yes.
Was there a time delay?
No time delay. It's the speed of light. It instantly comes back.
Well, even the speed of light, there'd be a slight delay.
We weren't detecting any delays whatsoever. We were using scalar technology.
Okay.
So that basically.
Okay.
Sorry. Imagine that the top end of the crystal is the focal point. The rings that expand and rise upwards, and these rings expand and rise upwards to a point where they reflect off the dome of the firmament, and they come back in a cone, a focal cone position, back down to the receiver. To do that.
Right.
What
Very
Alan's
simple process, really.
what Alan's found is a
Sure.
frequency. It's a frequency, but it's definitely a frequency.
What was the frequency?
The frequency, well, the frequency is 500 hertz in return, but that is coming from the scalar process that we're using. We also use all the Safiga frequencies, the healing frequencies, through the quartz crystal and amethyst crystal, and the Schumann frequency of 7.83 hertz.
Oh, that's the Schumann resonance.
Yes, through resonance, yes.
Yeah, the reason I was interested in the time delay is that, what we're finding is that there's some kind of barrier, and we're not sure if it's the actual firmament, at 75 miles. Because that's where rockets seem to stop. And that's where all the rockets and the space shuttle seem to go underneath.
Yeah.
We're wondering if that's a hard firmament, or it's more of a force field to stop us reaching the sun.
I still wonder about the test that actually got up to 400 kilometers.
Oh, this is one of the
for
bombs.
Explosions. How was it called? Fishball project.
What series is saying is this project,
Explosion
the
maybe
bomb
with
went
an
up
atomic-
400 kilometers, they
And,
said.
At the beginning, after, what was it, the journey south, particular captain, I forgot his name.
Admit.
Bird, yeah. Admiral Bird. After that, then they began these tests, and then they exploded on 4 different heights in atomic bomb, and they actually caught the electronic signals, radio signals from the sky.
Someone's knocked on his door.
Oh,
He's back.
cats.
Oh, cats.
Cats in my gut.
Carry on, series.
But the highest explosion they did was on 400 kilometers high. And that's how far I guess their capability is. Is the fire layer they call the Van Allen belt, or the high temperatures, etc. And then beyond there, there's probably the ether layer of all the 5 layers there are. And then you're getting into all the astrological parts, in the sense of all the planets, and then eventually the whole Vedic story behind it, I guess.
Right, I was referring to things like the Go Faster rocket, which you see it go up and then suddenly you just stop spinning at the same time, which means it actually.
Yeah, it's only one question. Did it actually stop traveling because it didn't work any longer, or was it meant to go not higher than that?
Well, it was still.
There.
The thing is, it's. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I really don't mean to cut you off, but I had a theory on that. I was watching Blue Planet a long time ago, and it wasn't until it came up after I started looking at Flat Earth that I really paid attention to it. And this man who was in a submersible underwater had come across this area underwater where it appeared to be a lake under the water. What he did was he hovered over the lake to enter it and bounced off of it. It made ripples across this little lake and under the ocean. and he said he couldn't enter it. Said something along the lines of a super saline solution, a very condensed water.
Denser than water.
I attributed the idea, say the ocean would actually cause it to be more compact because of the weight on top of it. If there's something like that above us, it would kind of be the same thing, but you would find that there would be a layer of this, you know, and that would attribute to the rocket stopping, not being destroyed, and if you listen to the sound that is recorded, it sounds like it does hit something like water. And I put it out there a few times. I never got any bites on it. I've told people about it.
You can hit
it's plausible
some when the back is breaking off.
possible.
That's
Did everyone hear
typically,
that all right?
Yeah, we heard that. Thank you, Wilson. Dave, what do you...
Yeah.
D, carry on.
So I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, what Wilson just said, it kind of goes along with the old flood idea as well, if you know what I mean. And maybe there was a breach at some point, and that's where a lot of the water did come from. So I don't know. Again, sorry, just got a little spark over there. So yeah, it works quite well with the Bible story as I know it.
I mean, I'd go along with that because, I mean, I saw that as well. His name is Mike something, and apparently that footage, original footage, has disappeared. So we've only got the footage that somebody recorded off the television.
Oh.
But yeah, that was very interesting, and I'd agree because obviously the rocket didn't get destroyed when it hit something, you know, and it was going quite fast. So if it hit something solid, it would have just broken up.
Mm.
But it literally hit something because, as Wilson said, you hear something to stop the forward motion and the spinning, because it just suddenly it was spinning like crazy, and then thunk, and then it stopped spinning and just hung there for a while and then fell. So yeah, it's not something solid as such.
If you didn't know better, it would be a vacuum, but we can't go into a vacuum like that. You can't go in. But it's like it gets stuck, like it's suddenly everything has disappeared that made it work before.
Yeah. Again, it was something it hit. It was, it was obviously something it hit, but it couldn't have been something solid because it would have broken the thing up. It's disintegrated at that speed. But no, I think it was something like Wilson described.
Does anybody else want to add anything then?
Sort of thinner and but strangely thicker, like water substance, in where it's just flooping in and then slowly falling out again because of the downwards. Because it must come down.
Think about if you had a dome, like an actual dome, and you built up condensation into it. They do this in some green. It builds up condensation on the top, drip down like thing already up there, and we know that there's more than one form of water on Earth. In terms of water, we don't see very well. Obviously, from the big blue planet, when he goes under, they spotted something it was. They couldn't explain what was it about this. That was, quite frankly.
Sorry, Wilson, you're breaking up a little bit. Wilson, you're breaking up a little bit.
A large bucket.
He doesn't hear me.
It'd be about 45, 50 pounds. It'd be pretty heavy. The size of the ocean, pressing down on this highly condensed water. It would be something that, like anything that's that has a consistency is not heavy enough. That water is not. So the rock, it obviously did not.
Wilson, we can't hear you properly.
It passed all the way through because of the thrust, because of the fact that.
Wilson, we can't hear you properly. Wilson, we can't.
Drilling into something and too hot, and it built up too much friction and all this sour from the drilling. It just like together, it just couldn't trade. But you know it hit something.
Wilson, we didn't hear half of that, but did you get the gist, Dave?
Yeah.
You're on mute, Dave. We can't hear
Sorry.
you.
Yeah, not really. It was kind of in and out, I'm afraid.
He's just explaining a bit more in detail what he was saying before, I think. It's just that there's definitely like something there. But I did watch a post on like gases, and these gases repel everything and they just are fire resistant, and things can float in them. Different.
Yeah. Well, you know what, the thing is, we've been indoctrinated into this idea that the world is a natural place, and you know, there are laws and for everything, and we can understand what those laws are. You know, I don't think that's the case. You know, I think it's there to hide the fact that we're in a supernatural world. Yeah, and I've been getting into this idea of, you know, density and buoyancy, you know, ignoring gravity that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
This idea that just it's all about, you know, what's dense and what's not.
Electromagnetic in that sense.
Everything's electromagnetic.
That's exactly what I was just saying about density and buoyancy. Nobody can hear me?
We can now.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Hold on. This one. How left?
Yeah, that's the one.
I'm looking up this one here. I spotted it in a native culture here in Newfoundland. I'm in Newfoundland in Canada. It was a Mi'kmaq culture, I think, and it was in Inuktitut. You spotted in the Sumerian, in Babylon, no, Sumerian culture. What's the cuneiform language? When you go back to the line segment.
Yeah, it's not Sumerian. The other one. The other one. I can't remember. I can't remember.
Carry on, Wilson. Oh, sorry.
Sorry?
Sorry, Dave. Wilson.
Is it what you have all these meanings per letter? Eh? Is it what you say that that you actually have to take in account all the meanings together with all the meanings together with all the meanings together to actually see the whole story of? Yeah. It's not picking one of them, but the whole combination of it. Yeah.
Yes, and I can't remember his name. Was it Nathan? He sat with showing the pictures of him. What I found is that Paleo-Hebrew was the original language, at least for this iteration of mankind. Yeah, that was the original language. And then, you know, with the Tower of Babel story, everybody split off from that region, with their own language based on the Hebrew. So what you find is every language west of Jerusalem, that area, yeah, is symbolic. Yeah, every language east of that area is pictographical and concrete. And you can follow the progression. So think of that again. Think of that ape, yeah, like that. Yeah, two horns and a face. Greek was that. Yeah. In English, it's that. Yeah, it's the same letter. And you know, you can see the progression, but it went from being a concrete thing that meant something to a symbol. When you went the other way, you can actually see how Paleo-Hebrew turned into Sanskrit, and turned into Arabic, and turned into Chinese, to Japanese. Yeah. Practical. So yeah, it's.
Asking you then, how old do you think this was then? This original language where everything's split up from? Is that in the pyramid time, or is that post-pyramid time?
I think the pyramids were built a long, long time ago in a previous iteration of mankind. First verse of the Bible, you know, said, you know, the Creator created the heavens and the earth. And then it said, when you translate the next verse into Paleo-Hebrew, it says, but the earth had become ruinous and empty. And it uses the same two words, where two other places it uses the same words to describe the Creator getting angry and destroying the whole thing. Yeah. And one of those instances is in Jeremiah, where, yeah, the earth had became ruinous and empty, and all the cities had been broken down. So it's saying that in that previous iteration, there were cities, but they were, you know, utterly destroyed. And what do you find? You find wide pyramid culture. You know, pyramids all over the place. You know, under the sea, and you know, in fields in Australia, and places in America, and you know, they're all over the place.
Did you know that we had one, Dave?
No.
Have you ever heard of a place called, you know, there's Stonehenge in Wiltshire.
Yeah.
You come back a bit towards Caen, and there's a place called Avebury, which is a stone circle, and there's a hill called Silbury Hill. And about 10 years ago, even if it's not really hit mainstream, but I found it in the World Pyramids, Silbury Hill is a pyramid.
All right. Well, I spent some time just hanging
Solstice
out
Day.
in a couple of days. But I didn't know it was a pyramid. I thought it was a round kind of mound thing.
It's in. If you look up the pyramids of the world, it's in there. It's on the main page. Can you believe that?
Okay. They're much older than, you know, our civilization, which started just before Adam, and it's we're coming to the end of the first 6,000 years, I believe, and you know, at the end of that 6,000 years, Earth has got another 1,000 years.
I was going to say, I remember you saying something in one of your videos that maybe we've only got literally a couple of years left, maybe like 2019 or something was maybe one of the years you chucked out there.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that that's you know, 2019, that's the end. I'm saying that 2019 is the end of the slavery period, the 400-year slavery period of the children of Israel in the Bible.
That's right.
Okay, and that's why the New World Order is literally rushing hell for leather to try and complete all its systems, because they've got 2 years left before the end of slavery. And right now we're not in the same chattel slavery of the past. We're in economic slavery now.
Certainly, and mental.
Yes, mental, psychological, but mostly economic. You cannot live, or most people can't live without money. And, so that means there's a whole lot that come along with getting money, which in their system. So, we literally, it's a more efficient way of slavery where everybody works for themselves, has to house themselves, and they think they're free. Yeah, happy slaves.
Yeah, wage slaves. That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, we're told we're wage slaves. We're told when we comply.
And in that video, I'm saying that's that elite that that we all know about. Yeah, they're not human. They're not human, and they would be obviously not human had it not been for the fact that they have mixed with us and have been propagandizing us and hypnotizing us into not seeing that they're aliens. Yeah, most people, or a lot of people, identify with them so much that they think they are them, but they're not. Yeah, and this is what's why I'm getting loads of flack on this video, because the genetic markers of this alien hybrid race, the most emotive ones are white skin, red or blonde hair, and blue or green eyes. These things are not natural to this earth. But we think they are because, as I say, lots of them are mixed with us. And so, you look like them. So, they don't look unusual to you.
So, Dave, why do you think last year was this year when, the majority of flat earthers woke up then?
That again goes back to the Bible, because it says in the last days that the children of Jacob are going to start to wake up and remember who they are. Yeah, and part of that is realizing that you're being fooled, you're being lied to, you're in this system. Is the most amazing out of all these conspiracy theories that we've been involved in. Nothing has been like the flat Earth. Exploded like wildfire. If you've seen some of the reactions that some people have had to this information, with 9/11, say, you confront somebody with 9/11, they'll laugh at you and walk away. Yeah. You start talking to certain flat Earth. I've had people wanting to fight me. I've had
problems.
Yeah.
We've all had our own problems, even in our own families. It's like you've killed someone.
Of making the research flat Earth. Nobody. Yeah, a good thing to be nobody.
They get really angry, really nasty.
This one guy threw me out of his house, and literally I was standing by the car, and he was prowling around wanting to fight me. He didn't actually come up to me or anything, but he was making the alpha male growling sounds and all that. Yeah, he literally before that he was crying, tears in his eyes, saying, "There's no reflection. There's no reflection."
I think you just told them their whole life is a lie. But I mean, we had to face that. But that even if there's a lot of infighting on Facebook, if you actually ask a flat earther what they feel the most, it's peace in their heart.
Yeah. Not only that, wonder and this childlike this childlike amazement of the world. I can't look at the moon now without going, "What the hell is that?"
Yes, me too. Every night, please, I want to know. Can I say something? The moon has 2 equinoxes a month, right? And in January, because someone told me the timings because of when it hits Capricorn, I watched the moon drag the stars. So it came across almost, and it did a zigzag like a heartbeat. And as it came across, say, east going west, but it was going south. Suddenly at a certain time it went north, almost north, and every star that was with it came with it. And so for me, I know that everybody else has to see this for themselves, but it's 2017 and we don't know that it's the moon that changes the stars around for the seasons. It dropped the stars off and then it went off west much quicker than the stars. I saw it with my own eyes twice. So we just, it's like, what is it to be able to do all that? It could just be a rendering. It's looping. There's all these things going on. Yeah, it's able to do that.
You know, for a while I had this idea that maybe the moon is just, you know, projecting part of the dome, you know, and that the so-called craters are just pockmarks on the dome. And that's why we just see that one face. It's just some kind of projection of that dome, you know. I don't know, but, you know, it's just an idea, but...
Well, works quite well in there on 4D stuff, because, I mean, obviously with series' work, we get quite into the dimensional stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it could very well be a representation. Like my kind of theory of the sun and moon is we see a round circle because that's like the limit of our perceptual dome, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
And it's not actually a circle. It is, like you say, it's everywhere. It's just what we perceive of it, because it's like you go to the beach at sunset and you stand looking at the sun reflecting on the water. It goes to your feet. You ask somebody 10 foot down the beach where that sun's going to, it's going to their feet.
Mm.
So it's yeah, all dimensional and perception, but yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we'll never know exactly how it works because we can't wrap our minds around it. You know, this could be just this weird realm that we've just taken for granted, and it's like almost too weird for us to actually contemplate.
Excuse me, Dave, I have to say, series, could you just say a little bit to Dave about what we're doing then?
Well, yeah, basically we're collecting recordings of take pictures and readings of the direction, the tilt of the sun, the moon, the stars, of the other planets, Jupiter and the Venus we have, and to collect at least a year. I don't know how long it will go on to keep collecting this, to have a firm database from reality itself. And the idea was to figure out what will happen in any model with this data and how would it actually correlate to the actual picture. In the meanwhile, I used for the easiest part the first animation of the in Google Maps. And once I figured out how the application worked, the Google Maps app, I saw that when you zoom in deep enough, you lose at some positions. They don't have images for those parts in that sense, or particularly satellite images. And I try to gather the whole. Through that, I collect for every level their availability of their images. And through actually collecting data, I figured out that the whole map is a photographic square. When you actually zoom into the complete detail as far as you can go into Google Maps, you can actually confirm your local location of your own of what you know. If you know your city, you know your house, you know your neighborhood, etc. You can actually confirm this in Google Maps. And what I figured was that they actually translate the bigger picture into the ball, so you can see the ball. But when you actually have the ball projection and look into the detail of that particular ball projection, you will see that the photographic detail is completely distorted. Houses are no longer 90 degrees, for example.
Yes. I know that. I actually worked on, before Google Maps, I actually worked on a mapping software. Actually, it sounds like I'm being conceited, but I actually developed Google Maps before Google did, for this company I was working for. As you were saying, you know, you start off with a globe, and it's literally just you know, map data mapped onto a sphere. But when you start zooming into it, you're actually zooming into a flat
Plane.
Yeah, flat plane. Yeah.
As soon as you zoom out to a certain level that you can't actually recognize the detail anymore, from that moment they morph it into the ball projection.
Yeah.
Have zoom level further.
Yes, that's exactly it. You know, it's a ball for illustration purposes.
So they hide the actual distortion of the detail of the reality. And between the ball projection, you have actually the GPS coordinates, 180 degrees and 360 around. You have that particular one-on-one latitude-longitude map, sense, and you project that on the ball by adjusting as well the longitude, making the longitude top and pixel on bottom, and then the full thing into the ball. But what you need to actually project it is not only the 85 latitude minus and plus on what Google Maps actually shows, that particular square what they show, but you need also that square on top and on that square on the bottom of it to actually create this one-on-one latitude longitude map. And I couldn't fill it with images because they don't show this. But I came across that they're actually providing the elevation data. I started collecting on every level per image also the elevation data of that particular image in the middle of the image. And the only way to get it was through the latitude longitude as a position on the ball. And because I have the formula for translating between the XY coordinates in where the images are stored in this particular squared, what is the image is the size of the number of pixels X and Y is based on the power of 2 of the zoom level. Level 0 is 1 image. That is power to 0, and that's 1. Power to 1, 2 to 1 is 2, and that's 2 by 2 images. And then 4 by 4, and then 8 by 8, and then 16 by 16. And that doubles in how detailed the images become in every zoom level. That's it. Amount of pixels you can get in that sense, or images in this case for their application. That is the actual XY coordinates between where they actually calculate distances. They translate latitude, longitude into the XY coordinates to calculate the pixel distance between two positions and multiply that by the pixel size of what the complete square on the equator presents, the 40,075 kilometers or the 20,901 miles. And based on that, I can actually calculate the distance between positions on latitude and longitude coordinates. What are the XY translated? What are the and then translate it into the actual distance? What I can translate between the pixel size and the actual kilometers of the complete size. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just put a picture series in for Dave to look at in the chat, just so he's got something to look at there. It kind of shows roughly, I know it's the looping one, but that's the only
Yeah,
image I've got.
Nice mix.
Where do I find it?
In the Hangout chat.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as the message thing. I can't see anything.
Maybe Series can
No,
just
not
show
the-
Series. You may as well just.
Messenger in Hangout, but you have also a messenger outside the room.
Oh, okay. I don't have that then.
No, it'll be a little icon at the bottom of your screen with a little message thing on it, and when you pop that up, it'll tell you the messages happening in the Hangout.
Yeah, I've got that, but there's nothing in it.
Series, can you show him
Oh,
that
yeah.
picture then? Series.
I'm just yeah. That's the other chat. I'm just gonna tell you. I've added the complete square in only the elevation data, and the rest of in the middle I could also get the elevation data, so I got that also from the complete world. And so I have data in dimension square in north and south direction, beyond north and south. East-west is the only known distance so far. I figure this middle square is exactly as high as that it is wide, and then as it is wide. And I don't know if you've seen the free energy material about the fourth dimension.
No.
For the I base my work on free energy, on Ken Wheeler, and Santos Bonacci is actually connecting for the whole astrological part, the things from above in that sense, and the book Beyond the Poles, the book about the world beyond the poles. And what I figured was because you have this square, a circle when you square the circle, and practically draw the flower of life pattern. And through this pattern, I discovered, actually by drawing this pattern, I discovered that when you repeat the circle, what is within the square in east-west direction, when you have the leaves of the flower at the edge of the square, then you end up exactly in the next square. But when you do this in north-south direction, you actually end up a little bit in the previous square, and that what you are in the previous square you miss in the next square. So you're going down, and it takes 15 of these circle steps to enter in the 13th in the middle of the square. So, and then I figured through the whole numbering and what I hear about things is 26, the alphabet is 26. The alphabet, the first bit above, where the seventh is the G, what is it, the heaven, and then the next half in where you have the seventh letter as the T, what is the earth, and the earth is the square, and heaven is the circle. In fourth dimensional sense, we have this looping of space, zeg maar. In how you can perceive it is that you are always in the center of it. It doesn't matter where you are in the circle, you walk always in an infinite circle, but only at an infinite length. That is how big the square is in dimension. Still there?
You had to turn the lights on, Series.
Ah, sure.
Yes.
It also has a kind of a toroidal field in where you have the east-west axis, and those axes are splitting up into a circle to meet halfway exactly on where you are. around you. Then it goes back within itself, with you as the point of the toroidal field, and all of your experience within this realm, I could say, Mother Earth realm. I missed my line, sorry. Oh yeah, your perception is a certain size, and the square is just bigger than that. So you won't see the whole square in your perception. You have a kind of perceptive bubble around you, and the sky above you disappears behind the horizon edge, but its projection is also a circle around you, over you, in that sense, from horizon to horizon, because that's how you look at it, as a bubble in that over your.
Kind of like how you design a computer game. You know, when
Kind of what I played for years. Avony. It was just an 800 by 800 map. It didn't matter where you were always in the middle of the map. But in this, east, west, north, south were equal size.
Yeah, and there's a problem.
I figured.
Sorry, you wouldn't render anything outside of your field of view.
Yeah. It's just way beyond there, so you can't see it in that as you like to see it in the computer model, in the 3D model. And so far I can only go so far as the square is, and then take you as a perspective point in the middle. See how far your square is. But as soon as you move, the Earth is moving in the square with you, because you're always the center of it. And that's how the fourth dimensional space works. In this case, is that because of this pattern repeating of the flower of life in east-west only once in the square, because that we can confirm by actually walking the circle once and end up at the same. You need at least 13 to have north and south to have actually the same focal point of what the Earth is. And when you turn it a quarter, the pattern of the flower, when you turn it a quarter, you can have actually the same wheel crossing what is a focal point on the Earth. And when you have actually two circles, and you turn one a quarter on the Earth and on the heaven, then you have actually the wheel and the spiritual wheel. And the spiritual wheel we can see in the sky, as where the whole astrological effect is on what our life actually is. It seems all written in the stars and the planets and the combinations and all those things. When we are born, the particular choices, I've figured, even with Maya, so many things in the astrological part, what I still don't know, I still don't understand, but it's so connected. And then also, especially through the whole electromagnetic universe of how things actually function in all the dynamics of where we live, all the knowledge we have of that, not the scientism, but the real science and what we know, no matter how protected it still is, but.
Okay, I think I need to see some of the images that.
Right, yeah. On that score, do you know when you first joined the Hangout? Basically, if you click on your screen, well, I'm on mobile, so it's a bit different for me. But if I click on my screen, there's an arrow pointing backwards. I can click on that, and it takes me back to the main Hangout screen, like some chat boxes, and I'll put a picture in there. If you can find that one. I'm not sure how it works. Like if you're on a PC.
Yeah, in a PC, yeah. Sorry, you're muted now.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I can't find that arrow thing. I've just got the chat, which Karen's just replied to.
Within the screen, it's another screen. For me, it's Google Chrome add-on. Google Hangouts
Okay.
add-on.
Well, give me a second. I'll just get the link.
Oh, I don't know who's just joined. If you can mute your mic, please.
Gary.
Oh, Gary.
I may as well just
How's it go? Hello, Gary.
just while Dave's looking. Hello, Gary. You can say hello, Gary.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I will mute now.
Thank you. Have you found it? I have an extra box on the bottom, and in it, it's got Google Hangouts.
You're on Facebook. Dave? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Are you in our Facebook group?
Yes, he
No.
is. Yeah, you are.
You were
Yes, you are. Dave.
You are.
I am. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you've been in there for a few months now because I was quite excited when you joined back along. So yeah, I remember you joining, but maybe you just haven't noticed.
Series joined him.
There's flat and a moon.
Yeah, I'm in a lot of groups, and people add me to groups all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, I imagine.
In our group, we have a pin post, and in the pin post message is a link to my first presentation video, where it's actually giving you all the images.
I'll tag you, Dave. I'll tag you
It's
now.
a 1.5 presentation. Send them a link as well.
Actually, Series, you'll have to tag him.
I will send them a link.
We've been researching. We probably started really got going in about the end of November, although we were going before that. We were taking readings, but then everything changed again. And Series has done masses of work since December, really. And he's going to send you the presentation link. He's going to get in there. But we live in a realm which is full of many dimensions. I mean, we're multi-dimensional in our own bodies. No one really thinks about that. You know, wiggle your toes, drink, talk. I can do all these, move my hands. I can do all these things at the same time. No one thinks. So Series has found this in the place we live. It's the only way it works with the work he's researching. And Alan's work kind of fits in with Series' work.
Okay. All right.
So I just tagged you in the post there, Dave.
Okay, I just got that.
Do the post.
Okay, gotcha.
It's so far. That doesn't mean it's the end. It's just where we got to, or where Series got to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit more detailed. Where did it go?
Okay.
It's worth watching it all, Dave.
Sorry, say again?
It's worth watching it all.
Well, I'm at the page, but there's no posts on it. I don't know what's going on.
Huh.
Oh, no, there's no actual posts on it.
Is it deleted or something?
Oh, no, it was definitely there when I tagged you in it.
Yeah.
It was the pinned post I tagged you in, I believe.
Yeah,
So it should definitely be there.
Yeah, the pin post is there, but
I mean, it's quite a
there.
long. Well, that one's actually not a long video, is it? But there's another video as well that shows it up quite well.
videos. Let's the YouTube link. That's a good one. Oh, there's a lot of videos.
Okay. The link just didn't go anywhere. It just went to the page and there was nothing on it. So what's it called? What's the video called?
It's not public. I have it in my private settings, but give you the YouTube link.
So we'll get it to you, Dave. Don't worry.
Right, no worries.
So, in reality, even if you haven't seen it, in a sense, Series is putting together like Free Anarchy, Ken Wheeler, Santos Bonacci on land together. He's probably the first person to do this. And the land.
Okay.
Somebody's really crunching.
What's that?
That was Gary, I think. Gary, mute yourself.
I am muted, right?
No. Anyway, we are actually a research group, and
Okay,
but
well,
we're
I'll have to look a bit further into it so I know.
But we're a little bit different because we have hangouts regularly. Because even if we're not the biggest group, I mean, the hangout is full, and about God knows how many other people wanted to join as well. So we're trying to become a community as well and trust each other and get to know each other a bit. So there's many things about our group. So we've got compass readings going on, which Series has safe on his website. We have other things going on. We have what he's trying to do with the land, and we're trying to build a community, a place to trust. I mean, we talked to Santos. Sorry.
Okay.
We talked to Santos. We talked to Dell from Over the Curve. We talked to Darren Nesbitt. Even though we're quite small, we're able to get through to these people and they come on hangouts with us. So it's...
Well, I know both of those two.
Do you?
Yeah. Darren, have you heard of the Fukers?
Yeah. I'm in that group and half of them are in my group.
Okay. Because we basically have experiment meetups, and I think there's one coming up, and there's one I'm going to in I think it's in July. So yeah, we have a meetup and then do experiments and all sorts of things. So.
Plymouth, Dave. So I'd love to be there for that one. I mean, I've got a P900, so if that will help.
I've got a P900 as well.
No, I was going to say, yeah. I mean, the more the merrier. I mean, like I said, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, well, find it on Facebook. Flat Earth UK. So it's the Fukers.
Excellent.
Just do that search and literally join it, and yeah, they try to have a meetup once a month in a different place in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they had one just a couple of weeks ago, didn't they?
Yeah, you were there, weren't you? Didn't you go, Dave? You were there. Yeah, weren't you at one of them?
I helped organise the very first one, and I've only been to two. I've got other things I've been doing, but yeah, the first one was the Bedford Levels.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah, I've
was
seen that one.
yeah, that was a great day. The experiment was just a by-the-by thing. We just all wanted to meet up more than anything.
Something
And
else.
it's a shame.
Sorry, I was going to say something else we're doing in our group as well is that's why Gary has wanted to join today. Is we're hoping this is not actually with the group exactly, but I'm sure everybody will help us one way or another or encourage us or whatever it is. But we're hoping to have a UK Flat Earth convention next year.
Well, maybe you could let Gary have a little talk about that for a second, seeing as he's just joined and not had much chance to say anything yet.
Cool.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Dave.
Hiya.
Hello, Gary.
I met you at that Worthing meet when I met you in the pub, and I said, "Oh my God, you're famous." And you said, "Am I?"
Yes, I do.
And we went down to the Worthing Bridge, didn't we? And we measured the to the Brighton Bridge.
Yeah.
I think it was Brighton.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that I met you there, and I think we stayed either overnight in your field or next door to where you live. I think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I contacted you the other day about the convention that we're trying to put together for next year. So just so you know, it's the same person, basically.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, are you going home?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty much still where you met me. I'm literally just down the road, just just not far from that field we're in.
Okay.
I'm off to California in a couple of days.
Well, that sounds exciting. Is
Yeah.
that to do something, or was that
Yes,
what you got planned?
it's helping people. It's not to do with the flat Earth.
Because if I remember rightly, you do quite a few subjects, don't you? You cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, but I literally put myself out there to help people in any way I can, and these people from California have asked me to go over there to first help somebody transition from living in a house to more of a mobile and a kind of community lifestyle, and then once I get to the community, I'm helping them build geodesic domes.
Okay. So you're into all that as well, are you?
Yeah, I build them. I build domes, and I'm actually trying to put together a Kickstarter campaign to build a completely self-sufficient geodesic dome home, which grows its own food, powers itself, recycles water and waste, the whole works.
You mentioned that in one of your videos a couple of months back, didn't you? When you was away on holiday.
Yeah. While I was away, I actually found the land I want to do it on, which is actually on a beach.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an amazing spot, and it's exactly the right size, right place. The idea is to build the thing, make sure it works, and then give the plans out for free.
Which is unique, isn't it? That's pretty unique nowadays.
Well, yeah, but this is the thing. I've felt that, that whole idea of the things you want to see. I want to see a world where people aren't concerned with trying to make.
Alan, did you want to say something?
No, I'm just enjoying listening.
Oh,
to
okay.
the
I thought I had
conversation.
someone trying to say something over the. I just thought I had someone else's voice in there. So carry on, Gary.
No, yeah, that sounds really good, Dave. It's like all things. It's like nice to have your eyes open to what's going on out there, and any new ideas like that can be quite rewarding, can't they? Really.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've actually been trying to do this for the last since I got back to England, I've been trying to build this thing. I started a group called the Freeman League. It's back in 2010. Got about 650 people together. Wow. And we wanted to build a whole eco-village. I was just about to get land up in Lincolnshire. A whole bunch of us went on the land to get the feel of it, to make sure we want to buy it. And one of the neighbours got wind of what we were doing. The local opposition against us. You know, they called the police, the council, the letting agent, anyone they could. They formed a group and had meetings about us, and we page of their local paper.
You're famous, Dave.
Yeah, it said anarchists are plotting to destroy local beauty spot.
And get the P of the world, man.
Yeah, I was actually the anarchist leader, even though anarchists don't really have leaders, but you know, there you go.
Yeah, it's where it goes with language being distorted, though, isn't it? Again, anarchist has totally been hijacked for the wrong purposes, and
yeah, exactly.
The thing is, though, they're actually saying no to something they don't understand.
Exactly it. You know, we sat and explained exactly what we were trying to do to this guy, and you know, in the typical fashion, this guy was all sort of friendly and all sort of supportive, and you know, that sounds like a great idea. He left. He was the one who whipped up all this support against us. Basically just stabbed us in the back. You know, we literally laid out our whole plan and what we intended to do. And we just wanted to live peacefully, you know, in this village. That we didn't want anything from anyone. In fact, our idea was to leave ourselves open so that people can learn what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Yeah, teaching village.
Yeah.
That'd come in handy for me at the moment, because I'm on a bit of a journey to try and go self-sufficient myself. So, yeah, I mean, I've been looking around for communities and stuff, but I'm not really finding anything suitable. That won't cost you like $100,000 to join or something.
Yeah, it's almost impossible in this country, because they've basically locked this country down tight. Even Lamas is is being targeted. They got sort of planning permission and all that. They got round all that, But now they're sort of being attacked by the council over building regulations, even though their buildings are, haven't got anything to do with their regulations.
The officialdom, Dave, it's just there to trip you up, isn't it?
Well, it's there to control you.
And we're not free at all. Not in their eyes. In their eyes, we're not free. I kind of worked out it's a sort of communism we're in, and people just don't realise. They censor everything.
Well,
they lie about most things. Fake wars. Fake going to the moon. Fake space. And we just buy it.
Well, socialism, they're all the same thing. They're just, just sort of slightly, all the details have changed. It's the same thing.
And the other thing carry on.
Different wrapping paper on them. But the present inside, not exactly a present, but what's inside is very similar.
Yeah.
And most people don't realise it's not the government.
Sorry, Carol.
Oh, thanks, Dave. Very quickly. It's not that the government makes the community; it's the people. Like, it's not the buildings that are the church; it's the people. If you're looking to look at all these things, it's always the people.
Yeah, but you know what? If you buy your own piece of land, and you build yourself a structure to live in, then somebody will be on your land saying you can't do that. I've seen it time and time again, where a family buys a piece of land, builds their own house, starts living self-sufficiently, and literally the council come along and say, you can't live like this, you've got to move into a council house and go on the dole. Doesn't make any sense.
And it all comes from us buying land in the first place, and this is kind of where I was going to go. We need to get away from this leadership caste and this hierarchical like structure that we live under, and this ownership business as well. We need to get back to like I said, the more community stuff, like you're saying, and just using each other's skills for our own benefits. But at the same time, I mean, it's not using it because you know at some point your skills are going to be needed as well. So.
Yeah, I always go back to this idea of the 1,000-man island. Us lot, plus the nearest 990 people, basically get stranded on a desert island. Yeah. What would happen is we all know we all need to survive, so we all do the best things that we're good at to help us all survive. If I'm like good at catching fish, I might catch 12 fish one night, and I'll just like take a fish, lay the others out, and anyone can go, come on and take it. You know, doesn't matter if that person is on the other side of the island that I don't know. You know, it's quite safe to assume that from the other side of the island is doing something that's bettering, you know, all our sakes, you know, all our situation. So I don't care. It's only when you get this parasite class who don't want to actually work or do anything, all they want is power over everybody else. They're the ones who come in and say, oh no, you know what, we need a monetary system. And that's it. That's all it is. You know, you can actually get rid of the monetary system right now. You know, just get rid of it. Have it just fall, you know, crash to the ground.
I saw the other side of the case, and that is the cryptocurrency, where they actually changed the perspective of the right to mint. The whole change is that the mint right is put into the public, instead of that there is just a single organization that is actually given the right to mint and control that currency. The people control the cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
That's the
my spidey sense goes off about that stuff.
Internet, it needs all the hardware, you know, and in a way it's a little bit in what you said, you need a currency thing. Well, what you say on the 1,000-man island, it's not the situation that you take one fish and give the other fish to whoever takes them, but that there is actually of that the fish is cooked and prepared and everybody gets a meal.
This is it. I mean, Dave may catch the fish, but he may not know how to cook it, he may not know how to scale it, he may not know how to debone it, so there might be other people that can do all that stuff as well. So this is what I mean, yeah, you're all chipping in again.
Yeah, it's only when you get a parasite class that come along that then you need this medium of exchange, because then it's not fair because this parasite class isn't actually doing anything, so they're not contributing. So and going through that cryptocurrency business again, my spidey sense goes off about that as well, because as soon as you get a monetary system that people don't understand, that leaves them at the mercy of those people who do understand it.
Yeah, in a sense, I do understand it because I'm a programmer.
Programmer too, but not everybody's a programmer.
Yeah,
so
but
that means that
my level in that sense also. That I know for sure. I can actually program in anything, on anything, and that's because I'm understanding the basics of programming itself. Everything works.
What I'm trying to say is, though, if
I
you have
the backbone of the cryptocurrency in that sense, then I think it's a good idea to actually take it out of the hands of the bankers. Step in a message.
I suspect the banker's already in it, right? But again, if you have a system that only some people understand, okay, they end up controlling those people who don't understand it. This is the system we've got right now. You know, we've got this monetary system that people do not understand, and those who do understand it are manipulating it so that we all suffer.
Yeah. For me, basically, this particular give me the right to mint, and I don't care what the laws are. The one would actually get the right to print the money to counterfeit.
Well, my main issue.
Their system is ceiling us in that sense, but the cryptocurrency has actually,
Yes,
and that you can blow it up.
Could I just ask something? Somebody's joined the Hangout. There's another person in the Hangout, and I don't know who it is.
Hello?
Hello? Who's this?
I don't know. So,
Eric Michael D. Who's D?
D's D.
I'm D. It usually says Eternal on here, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can see that.
There's a
THE.
Patricia Wilson.
Yeah, no, I know everyone on the Hangout. But anyway, on the cryptocurrency, my only problem with the cryptocurrency, yes, it's a brilliant idea at the moment because we've got the internet, we've got electricity, we've got all this, is at any time that could be taken away from us. And you have nothing solid, you have nothing physical.
That's so. But then again, then you have no money system at all. When it's actually when you actually destroy the banks with the cryptocurrency.
Yeah, no, and again, this is why we need to get away from the currency
So the
completely.
power of your state of lending money, and then putting that in their name because they have your birth in their property, selling you loan.
You know something? The currency. People talk about currency as though it's a real thing. I don't know if you guys can hear me very well. Everybody talks like.
Go, Wilson.
Everyone speaks about it like it's a real thing. It's not a real thing. It's made like toilet paper is made. It's not real. It has no substantial value. It has no intrinsic value. And the concerns of the internet, they do not care how we are talking. As long as we're still doing what we're doing with the world, we're still doing what we're doing. We're still doing what is necessary to keep people who are in power to be in power.
Oh yeah, all right, yeah, we're talking about money as if it's a real thing, but nothing has any value, nothing at all. Not just money, nothing has any intrinsic value whatsoever, apart from food.
Well,
and that's only
the only place I would disagree there is that the true value of gold is its conductivity. We can use it for many, many different things.
Yeah, but it still has no intrinsic value. Its value is in its use rather than it itself.
Oh, when I say intrinsic, I mean to what it's capable of doing. It's intrinsic to currents, to holding a current, to being a very good conductor of electricity. When I say intrinsic, I kind of mean it in a very different way than buying power or that sort of thing, like trades and commerce. When I say intrinsic, I mean its value to what it is capable of doing in this world. And gold can actually produce, well, not produce, but help conduct electricity in a better way than any other material that you'd use for the same purposes. So therefore, its intrinsic value, in my opinion, is much higher than what all these other systems are. So I believe that this is known, and it's always been known. I mean, you know, telephone wires, they use gold in that. Of course, they don't want them to break down. They don't want them to, you know, anything happening to it. But all of our systems, like the things that we use in our houses, the way our houses are built with materials that quickly corrode, like copper. I mean, copper. Copper has problems. It's problematic. Go. Tarnishes almost instantly. Brass tarnishes almost instantly.
See, for me, you're putting value on today's stuff. This is what I mean. You like this. Is what I mean. For me, we don't need electricity at all. So for me, gold really does have no intrinsic value whatsoever, because we only need electricity if you want to have the internet, if you want to have all this, the luxuries of today. I mean, I think we should be living a lot more like animals, basically, and a lot more living off the land and more community-based stuff where you don't really need electricity. But again, I mean, with gold as well, I mean, you can go beyond the conductivity part of it, and if you superheat it and get it to its white powder, it becomes a monoatomic substance, basically. So it has, I'm air quoting here, anti-gravity properties.
No, I'm not thinking in the terms of gravity or these visual aids that we call internet and stuff like that. I believe that electrical currents and these kinds of technologies, we haven't even scratched the surface or tapped the possibilities of what these things are capable of doing for us as a race. Like people are now just starting to find out that sound carries on water molecules, that, you know, you're not picking up vibrations that are just bouncing around in the air. They are actually moving through something so that you can receive them. And the concept is changing in people's minds. So this understanding of what these things mean, like if I could create a machine that can resonate a high frequency and kill bacteria instantly, like was done a time ago, and was destroyed because it would have pretty much saved most of the human race. I can see that the value of gold, these metals, would be very intrinsic to everyday human life. And though I do agree we should be getting right back to our roots and living like animals, we're not like animals. The bones in a gorilla or an ape or any kind of monkey are extremely condensed, very solid, and they're made for their environment. We are not made for the environment. We seem to not fit in at all in this environment. Like we didn't originally come from here in the first place. Peace, guys.
Right. Well, to answer that, you know, the designs I've been playing with, they let you live self-sufficiently, but you don't actually have to step back into the Stone Age to live. You can have some fairly modern conveniences as such, but nothing that makes you dependent on anyone else. That's the key point. That kind of like being like the Amish, but you can have electricity, but it's electricity you generate in your house for other people. But you know, you don't use anything that keeps you dependent.
Company. You don't need companies. You can do it from local level as well.
Well, this is
something. My parents, for example, created a company to actually sell the purest compost, eventually the company ended up in the competition's hand through the bank, a sort of game with them, but eventually they did go to Portugal and did the whole thing, but then in a small, and shared that just to the world. So as you do it like this, they compost any green material, wood, grass, weeds, whatever, with every green garbage material, you could just recompost into the base cellular material what the plants actually need as it build up. On that, you can grow your garden.
I wanted to bring up something to Dave, since you're actually doing some research on sound, language and sound, and what it means to us in our minds and physically. To me, is actually very important. And I was doing some research on these Bosnian pyramids, and I started quite some time ago, and it was very interesting to find out that pyramids actually put off a resonating frequency right from the top, right through the pyramid. And the evidence that was found with these, that it cleaned water and it did these things. Now, I put 2 and 2 together from another piece that I was looking at about some people that were sending a frequency through a bubble of water that they had in this kind of glass container, and it actually created an event that was like a little star. Light came from sound.
Cavitation.
Yes. So I was thinking about how there are pyramids all over the earth, everywhere. And if we thought about the idea that there's land masses larger and many more plentiful all over the place, then this seems to be a very common design, and they're all shooting up, straight up. Then I was considering the idea, and I know it's out there, that stars are actually man-made formations.
Interesting. You might want to look into the work of Michael Tellinger.
Yeah, I was. He's a very brilliant man.
Yeah, I met him too. I was at a free energy conference in Colorado with him, and he did a talk, absolutely mind-blowing talk. He was talking about some ancient cultures and how it seems they structured their civilizations, their buildings, to channel human sound into almost like an amphitheater, and then draw off that sound to a spire. So like almost like it's trying to mimic some energy capturing device that the pyramids were, yeah, in a kind of modern, more modern way. And I use that word modern, to mean this 6,000 year period.
Yes.
But yeah, so he then started making the parallels between, the really ancient examples of this and churches, because you get people who have organised in this, facing one way, singing and making chanting noises or whatever into a certain space, which is channeled by a spire or a steeple or something, like a different type of pyramid. And then, amazingly, then he switched it to the design of cities. And cities look like circuit boards. And you always tend to find a sports stadium closely to a spire type thing in the middle of a city. And you'll find spires almost every city. You find like we've got the Shard in England. You've got, the Space Needle, and you've got you find these things in every single city.
Yes, and I agree. I agree 100%. And I noticed that somewhere throughout time there was a discrepancy created, or a disruption created in how we actually use sound, because musicians, orchestras used to tune their instruments at 432 hertz, or I think it's hertz.
Yeah.
Well, I tune my guitar at 440.
Mm-hmm.
I know by ear the sound of 440. 432 was the most common and most commonly used sound. And when you take this sound and put it through a device and say lay sand across a board, the 440 is very fragmented, and the 432 creates a shape, much like the ones that Series is talking about when he talks about his flower of his map, these sorts of things. So we have this fragmented society where in one place you would see that everything is structured in parts and pieces, and it's still uniform, but there's missing that artistic portion of it. And I think that Michael Tellinger is picking up on this fragmented way of presenting sound, and that we now as a society, we build everything in boxes rather than artistically, like something going from the center out. It's more like in lines and structured pieces.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with sound. If you do 440 at 440 hertz, you will notice that it's more box-like rather than flower-shaped.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
It does. It does. It's actually the Rockefellers who forced everybody to convert to 440. And what the experiment you were talking about was cymatics, where you put the black card on the loudspeaker. What I think is going on, sound is much more important than we realise. And by looking at Paleo-Hebrew, apparently was the language that the creator of the universe basically used when he spoke to Adam. Okay. And he spoke the universe into being. Yeah, he created the universe with sound. Right. His first job was to name all the animals. Okay. If you look at the Hebrew for the word name, it's actually sham, and that actually means, if you look down the list of meanings, name, characteristic, behavior, character. It doesn't just mean name as in label; it means a characteristic. So I think Adam was actually not just naming animals; he was defining them. And find is that the ancient languages, like Paleo-Hebrew, are told, even Sanskrit, which is the closest you're going to get to Paleo-Hebrew, to those words. And if these words are concrete, they mean something. When you use the word, actually, there's a concrete meaning to it. Concrete form to it. So the Paleo-Hebrew, or these ancient languages, speak reality into existence. And what they've done, what this control system has done, is overlay the original language of a fake version that which adds vowels to it, so that you can't pronounce it properly, so you can't speak words into speak words into reality, and then give you fake symbolic languages. In many ways, reversing all the sounds.
Yeah.
It reverses all the sounds. It also, every single word, pretty much every word, actually means one thing and then the opposite at the same time.
Yes, like the ambigram of actual spoken words. It's yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly what you're talking about, and I really want to learn this language now because it's what I've been talking about for years now. It's been bothering me every time I learn a language. Like I was learning Latin, I was learning German. They had deep connections to the Indo-Germanic, the Indo-European language, and I was learning things from the Bible. And whatever I didn't understand, I wanted to know without having somebody taint what it was that I was trying to understand. So I took it upon myself to start learning languages. And when I started learning about Latin, I realized that they were taking words and they were messing with them. They were adding to them. They were putting them backwards. Like they were the ones that translated the Hebrew, like the one that we were talking about, the letter Aleph into A to Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And now it means something entirely different.
Well, Aleph and all those Hebrew word letter names, well, they're not the actual letter names. They're the fake Hebrew that's been over the top. Or the letter names are just ba, da. Yeah, they're not Aleph, Bet, Gimel, whatever the Jewish people say. Yeah, it's actually it's a simple language, ba, ga, da, pa, ta, wa. Yeah. This might sound silly, but one of my next research is to find out if babies are actually speaking Paleo-Hebrew.
Try looking Lev Simonovic Vykovsky.
Three people talking at once.
Sorry.
One by one.
Remember at the time I was, parents told me not speaking one word of Dutch, speaking with my brother, a memory of that, and I can only remember it as Dutch. But I had my own language with my brother before we actually got into a village or something. We were born on a farm. But yeah, at that age, we had actually a language with each other.
Yeah, well, you probably remember, Wilson, in that telepathy video, I've got a little video of two babies talking. All they're saying is, is blah, 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 blah. And they're actually having conversation. They're talking, saying something, and they both turn immediately and do whatever they've been discussing. Like baby talk, because there's only one vowel. That's exactly how babies talk. So, are they speaking Paleo-Hebrew? Because I know that this world knowing stuff, just like any other animal. Yeah, we come into the world knowing, birds come into the world knowing how to fly, knowing how to build nests and whatever. Yeah, to be, or we seem to be the only animal that doesn't know what to do when we get here. And I don't think that's true. I think we do know it out of us.
Yeah.
If whatever, can everybody hear me now?
It's of education.
Have on is it Paleo-Hebrew? Paleo-Hebrew. If you can send me any of it, I would appreciate it very much, because language is very important to me. I'm fixated on it my entire life. And talking about is the direction that I've been going with all of this. At a place to pinpoint it. I knew that Hebrew was very important, but I seen that there was a cross section and there was a portion that where I wasn't sure if the Phoenicians had any kind of influence to the Hebrews and the Romans or Greeks, or as well as Latin, had any kind of influence to that. I know that the Latin people were influenced by the writings and started to use them, but I didn't know where the influence was lying back and forth. I didn't even know about Paleo-Hebrew.
With the Paleo-Hebrews, the Phoenicians were streamlined the letters. They didn't make any changes. The Phoenicians were the Canaanites, and they've always been kind of very closely. Directly closely, but they lived very closely with they streamlined the letters. It was the Jewish people, the Edomites, basically created a new language, called it Hebrew, and started adding vowels and making changes to it. Dead language, intentionally so. You have to start piecing it together, and there are a few people who have done a lot of work on it. And I'll, if you send me an email or something, I'll a few videos over to you, and maybe I've got a couple of books. There's not much out there. I think what's important is knowing a couple of the rules as such. Either there are no vowels apart from the implied R sound after every consonant, and the letter A, which is it's just what it's actually also supposedly a consonant as well, but it's an I sound. If you so you can actually use the modern Hebrew, look at it and translate it into Paleo.
Okay.
Like I said, with the word here, they seem to be spelled differently, but you apply the rules of Paleo and you realize they're the same word.
You know, it makes sense. That's actually really cool, and it gives me a bit more hope about understanding the origins of these stories. At this whole thing and the considerations of the Roman Empire is the reason for a lot of things. Like I keep telling people, why would they change the name of Yeshua to Jesus? And I said, do you realize that Jesus sounds like Zeus? And as a matter of fact, I believe Spanish people, it's Jesus. So unlike the influence of the Bible, of these stories that was added on top of it, the deceptiveness of our language, very difficult to one portion of the Bible and think to myself, this has to be right. This is 100% here, 100% there. So I have all these reservations, and I'm not going to make the mistake of allowing myself to be brainwashed in the same way. Earth. Now we all know it's the same Earth before it was a globe, but the concept in our mind was that it was a globe. The concept actually changed our behavior to how we viewed the world, even though the world had not changed. Exactly what I was talking about with the Bible.
I approached the Bible because I was a complete atheist, and You know, I had not been exposed to the Bible or church or, you know, priests or pastors or whatever at all. I had no interpretation of it. I went to start reading the Bible. I went to it totally fresh. I approached it like, okay, I'm going to assume that this book is a book of history, a real book of history. Allegorical, it's true, you know, it's meant to be understandable by me. Yeah, it's a book that I'm supposed to understand.
Yeah.
I started reading it from beginning to what I noticed straight away, and I like using that. It's like when you're watching Lost or some big TV series, yeah?
Yeah.
You just watched 6 seasons into it, that you've got all these theories, you've got this understanding about how it works and all that. And then the last series comes along, and director or a different writer who has no idea what the story was about. They introduce a new character and then try and make it seem like that character was the main focus of the whole thing up until that point, and it just doesn't work. And that's how it felt. Yeah. It felt like it's been tacked on, and then there's Jesus, you know, being all the way through the old books. Yeah, and it's a lie. So I literally, and actually just this week I got a bit of a revelation about that, that very question. You know, why is he called Jesus? I found out a long time ago that his name was actually the same as Joshua.
Yeah, Yeshua.
And yeah, his name is Joshua. In English, it's Joshua. And then all the different sort of Hebrew-sounding names are supposed to be how you say Joshua in Hebrew. But if you knew the rules of Paleo Hebrew, it's actually Yahushua. It's all, you make all those E's and O sounds with A's and consonants. So Yahushua, you can actually hear Joshua in there, can't you?
I must be breaking up a lot, am I?
No, you're okay.
No.
Yeah, the hard J didn't actually come into Latin up until a few hundred years ago.
No, it didn't.
This letter J in this Jesus, it has to come from Greek mythology and the attachment towards how Romans tell stories. There's always a to the story. There's something behind the story. It's trying to teach you something. And Hebrews would have been very direct, but the overlaying way of telling the story of the Bible seems very indirect. So you have these two different aspects, and I'm like, where is this coming from? I like to read between the lines, and it seems to me that there is like what about words have meaning, but then you listen to what's being written in the Bible. Some of it has a very powerful meaning, is very direct, and then other portions is like try and guess. And like that doesn't work for me because I'm seeing two different cultures. What I mean?
Yeah. Again, the Old Testament is written, was obviously written in Paleo Hebrew. Again, each letter is a word picture. Each word is a word picture. And what you come to realize is a word picture as well. Okay? So, for Samson, it's a word picture. And it's, so when you absorb the story of Samson, several pictures. Yeah, one of them is hair. Another one is, you know, don't be hanging out or marrying women of different tribes, of different nations, because they'll lead you away from. So this is how I, you know, found the Bible amazing, is because when you start realizing that, you know, because you get all these strange, like random stories in the Bible, in the Old Testament, and they don't seem to make any sense. But when you start seeing them as word pictures, it's a book of instruction. Find yourself in this situation, you deal with it righteously.
So it's a code then, really?
Nice, yes, I like that.
It's kind of like a code then, because we all
no, not a code. No, not a code. It's written in a plain way, but when you see it from a Paleo-Hebrew perspective, it's something that you will get here and not here. Because English works here, Paleo-Hebrew works here.
Yeah, left, right, rational, emotional.
So you don't, Dave, you don't think the Bible's been manipulated? You know, like they've taken bits out, added bits, changed it all around, confused it. You don't think it's been manipulated then? You think?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, it's been manipulated. Even King James had to rely on and some of those were deceptive. I'm of the firm belief the Most High made sure that there was just enough to read it and understand it. You know, the Book of Enoch, after you know, thousands of years, 47, at the same time that the fake Hebrews, the fake Jews, went back to Israel, or went to Israel, and at the same time they created the alien, you know, myth, you know, in Roswell. So it's like a chess match, you know. The adversary makes a move, you know, Roswell and the fake Jews, and you know, the Most High makes a move. Here's a book that tells you what they're doing.
If I could have a second to elaborate on what he was saying, words are descriptive, words are deceptive, because you're just talking in a circle. A picture, what an object is, it can be nothing else. Telling you that going down that road causes this. Picture's meaning. I think if I'm way off, you can go ahead and tell me. Trust me, I won't be offended. But that's kind of the impression that I'm getting.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's why an abstract language, it can be totally deceptive. In fact, English is not a language; it's a programming language.
Yeah.
You know, symbolic, as like a sound represents a thing. Okay, so it's like saying X equals 5. and X can be changed to equals 7 if you want, you know, and now X has a different character, and you know, X has changed. This is what they've done with legalese. Yeah.
Yes.
Like you know, they've redefined English, and they haven't told you that you know, it's redefined. So you're saying something you think is innocent. In reality, you're incriminating yourself.
I was trying to explain to people not to say yes when somebody reads you a contract and says, "Do you understand?" Because I was explaining that when you say yes to that, I understand under the agreement. Basically, admitting that you did something. Basically confessing right at that moment.
well, it's you're consenting. You know, a policeman will say, I'm charging you with doing 70 and a 60, 70 miles an hour in a 60 mile an hour zone. Do you understand? And then you're saying, yes, I consent to you charging me to this rule, because it doesn't become a law, it's a statute, only becomes a law when you consent to it.
Yeah.
Now it's the law, and now you've admitted. So yeah.
Do you have a legalese copy?
So, yeah, you can go online and just put Black's Law Dictionary PDF, and you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It's very enlightening, because you find things like look up human being.
I was looking for a complete PDF. I found a partial one.
Okay, well, I've got like about a dozen PDFs, like with all the different versions of it.
Yeah.
Under human being, it says sea monster.
Oh yeah. And demon, I keep telling people, you don't know what that means. It's an entity. It's a soulless thing. So basically, your identification is the contract with your name on taking and making. I heard that one way. I couldn't believe.
Wilson, we can't hear you. Wilson, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
You're breaking up.
No, your signal is slowing down.
Just come back in a minute.
Can you hear me?
Come back in a minute.
It takes a few minutes.
Or take yourself off and bring yourself back. While he's sorting that out, there was a couple of questions that Richard put in. I know one of them's digressing to something else, but Richard, you've got your chance. Say them, because I put them up in the chat, but I don't know if Dave saw them or anybody else saw them. So Richard.
There was just a quick question about that Paleo Hebrew you're going on. Is the word then abracadabra come from that language?
Yes, it does. I mean, again, you can. I haven't researched. I think it means that I create what I speak.
Yeah.
But a Hebrew word, because it's literally just one vowel sound. So abracadabra. It's a Paleo Hebrew word, and the idea that it creates. Word actually creates, again, goes to the fact that it's a concrete language, which is the language of creation. So it doesn't surprise me it's used in magic.
Thank you, Dave. Go on then, Richard. Say your other question.
I don't know if I had another one. I think I was just gonna about silver actually being more valuable than gold. I think Wilson were going on about something to do with conductivity and stuff. Yeah, well, in my opinion, I think the silver would be worth more than gold, because the silver is the most conductive metal, and it can be used to heal the body. It kills off all the bacteria and viruses and molds and fungus and stuff.
Well, I can tell you something that's even more expensive than silver or gold or platinum or whatever. The most expensive substance in the world. Anybody know what that is?
No
idea. Actually, $396 a gram at the moment. And what it is melanin. me black. Yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
Melanin.
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 Oh.
Substance in my skin that makes me black. Yeah. It's worth nearly $400 a gram, and it can't be synthesized. It can only be taken from black people. It's the elite. I'm sure there's more uses than we're aware of, but ways these elite aliens, you know, they need to drink human blood. You know, this is a real thing. They need to drink human blood. They need to consume human body parts. They found that they can take melanin from skin and I think it's either the base of the spine, the brain stem, or is it the pituitary gland? One of the glands, the melanin from, and they can use it to keep themselves alive and young looking.
So this is trading at the moment, is it, on the market?
Yes, you can go Google and
No, I believe you. It's not that. It's just that the connotations of that mean that if it can't be synthesized, that means there must be a market where they're killing off black people and taking the melanin.
yeah, 1,200. I think it's something like 1,200. I put it in my last video. Something like 1,200 people a week, or is it? It might just be a year. I can't remember. But the same number of black people go missing every year. Drive-by shootings, but it's also about organs as well. But you know, but literally, there's a pipeline, a streamlined business.
Goodness.
Taking melanin.
Can I ask you one question, Dave? Then you must have heard of those animal mutilations. These really weird animal mutilations, usually horses, sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's all that about then? If they need humans, what are they taking from them then?
Well, back to the days of Noah, what they were doing back then is genetic engineering. They were mixing humans with all sorts of animals and plants and fish and whatever, yeah, to make host bodies for the demons, essentially, yeah. Right, it's a bit noisy, but when the Nephilim, when they died, their spirits couldn't go anywhere. So the demons and the evil spirits, and well, there have been names for them all over, you know, throughout history, but they became these disembodied spirits. And going on in the time of Noah was genetic engineering to create hosts for these disembodied spirits. So that's where you get these myths of, you know, minotaurs and centaurs and satyrs and harpies and, you know, these half animal, half human, yeah, chimeras. And right now we've got the same thing going on, and you know, they've been doing the same thing throughout history. It's just now they've changed the storyline to be aliens, you know, experimenting on us to find out more about us. But that's not true. They're doing exactly the same, you know, impregnating people and you know, collecting sperm and collecting eggs and making chimeras.
Well, and not only that, they're actually using animal organs in us now. So, yeah.
On tasks, they're actually trying to turn humanity into them. Why you're seeing the transgender thing now. Reality, you know, being pushed forward, and and all their which you can trace from, you know, throughout all the, you know, the great civilizations that happened in this world. Yeah, you can trace that when they took over Greece, with them, the paedophilia, the you know, androgyny, reality, the child sacrifice, all that stuff. They took that to Greece. Then they moved to Rome, and they did that into that culture, and that culture became, you know, and sort of really corrupt, and it had to fall. And then they moved. Eventually, they moved to England, and they brought that to England as well, but they made it more undercover. And then they brought that to America. This is why it's the same thing. It's you know, that's why the presidents and the elite go to, you know, Bohemian Grove. It's the same thing. It's been happening constantly from the beginning.
Always making a
Have I talked too
reality
much?
that doesn't. No, it's brilliant. I've sort of got a bit of a YouTube channel. I've been sticking up. My latest bits really have been, well, I've put Wilson stuff on there and some of our hangouts, and I've been putting on about the fake space. But it's to create a reality that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, but you believe it. It's terrible, isn't it?
Absolutely. This whole world is an illusion. You know, I liken it to, if you ever go to Disney World, yeah, it's like blade of grass is in place, and you don't see any litter around. You know, everything's clean. You know, everything's perfect. Underground city, basically, underneath the whole of Disneyland, where it's all dirty and grimy, and all the, you know, all the demonic stuff and all the paedophilia and all that stuff goes on underneath there. That under there is making that perfect world on top, that we inhabit and we think is real. And this is where we are in life, yeah. This illusion that's been created by these people doing all this dirty, grimy stuff, you know, underground. And you know, but we just think that all this stuff is real.
We're all into the act, all into the game, all into the play.
I've never been more thankful I fractured my spine.
What do you mean?
Well, sorry, basically it was fracturing my spine that disconnected me from being able to watch the television, and once I stopped watching the television, I was allowed to start awakening. So
Okay, that's cool. Yay, spine.
Can I just?
yeah, I burst fractured my first lumbar basically. So I'm walking and everything now, but yeah, it's a bit of a scary time, but yeah.
Can I just bring something in on that? Frankie showed me something a few weeks ago. Frankie, it gave me the heebie-jeebies. Can you explain it? What you found, like in Paris?
Oh, what, that catacomb thing?
Yeah, with these bones right up to the street level.
Yeah, it was amazing, wasn't it? It was my daughter who showed me this video. It was I remember whose channel it was, but they'd gone down these catacombs, haven't they? Bones and that all piled up, that walls made of them. Just went through into another bit, poked their head through a hole, and it was like right up to the top, just stacked with bones and bones and bones. Crazy.
More like the leg bones and arm bones. You didn't really see ribs. You didn't really see that many heads. You didn't see fingers. You just saw long bones. Right up to the street level.
Yeah.
And they're saying that... Carry on.
So I imagine you'll see the same thing if they ever let people go under Buckingham Palace.
Oh.
I think lots to be there.
Yeah, I can guess.
Yeah.
We do seem to be the centre of a lot of things, don't we, Dave, in this whole thing that's wrong and this whole thing with the lies. You know, it seems like we sit in the middle of everything. You know, like, even in series research, we're quite in the middle. Like, Alan and I aren't sure, but we've seen some pictures where it looks like the Silbury Hill pyramid points to the rest. They all point to Silbury Hill. Then we've got the Queen doing things, and Wilson's brought this up where, you know, the Pope, we go to the Pope, but we're the Church of England. The President goes to the Pope. He's not Catholic country necessarily. It's all different.
We're the financial centre. America are the military centre, and the Vatican is the religious centre, basically.
Yeah, the three pillars.
Yeah, but this is still the hub, because you know the sort of 13 meet in the City of London. Yeah, so I you know either here or the Vatican is a centre, but I think it's here.
Yeah,
Alan, explain what you know then. You told me about who has the biggest reserve.
Oh, the Queen.
Yeah.
You talk about the uranium.
Yeah.
She owns most of the uranium around the world. Certainly in Canada, and Australia.
She owns most of the landmass as well.
But we don't need all that. We don't need nuclear. We only need crystals, which is what Alan's doing, and free energy. We don't need all that stuff. We don't even need half the power plants we've got.
Well, you know, nuclear is a fraud as well. They were using nuclear piles in Africa, you know, hundreds of years ago. Literally, where they found uranium, they'd just pile it together, and they'd use burnt as charcoal control rods. And all it is you know, when you heat this uranium together, it starts to heat up. In these nuclear power plants, they're just boiling water and powering engines.
Alan, what do you think?
My brother's a nuclear engineer. He works for Babcock in Devonport Dockyard, submarines and stuff. And I was telling him basically that the nuclear thing's a fraud and everything, and he was like, no, it's totally real. I work with it all, and I said, you're telling me that the nuclear power is not like more than a steam engine, is it? And he was like, yeah, and he really he couldn't get it. It messed with his head for a while, actually. But yeah, so
yeah.
And then he works just the stuff. So yeah.
Einstein said he called it it's a heck of a way to boil a kettle or something, you know.
Alan, what do you reckon some of the power plants are doing already, and they're lying to us? What are they already using?
What the power plants are doing?
Yeah, some of them already. They're not used, or like they're not electricity plants. That you told me that they they're using crystals in some of them already. They're lying.
No, I don't so no.
Oh, I thought you said that some of these power plants might be already using crystals. They're already using that.
I don't believe they are.
Okay then.
So that they're harvesting. They're certainly harvesting from the islands.
Yeah, I think they're. Well, I've been watching a guy, Gerard Marin, and
Yes.
you know, his view is, you know, not only are they sending the power to us, they're collecting it back as well.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Also, they're probably generating it through free energy means, paying, you know, anything to get this power.
Yeah.
But they're making us pay for it, and they're taking it back at the same time.
That's true.
And if you've seen Gerard Marin, you know, backs that idea up by telling us that, you know, right in our own homes, we've got one of the most efficient electric motors ever has been.
Yeah.
And you know, I was trying to I was kind of I've designed this motorbike based on this this kind of motor, and I actually worked out that if you use this motor and use a sort of 1-to-1 cog from the motors to the back wheel, that motorcycle's 100 miles an hour.
That would be something to see.
The electric motor that he's talking about, is actually called a direct drive motor, and it's in the back of some washing machines.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is that if you get a normal electric motor, this whole armature, and it's spinning a little spindle in the middle, which is the bit that you try and get your motion out of. Motors, do you imagine like a pie dish, like a pie dish with a wall around it, and you put the magnets around the pie dish, around the upturned wall. In the middle of that pie dish, you put the like your stators or your coils. So when you use the coils to turn that motor, you're not turning a spindle, you're turning this whole. So you get masses of torque. Yeah. So if you're spinning a spindle, it's like if you stop it with your hand or whatever, stop that spindle, because it's not giving you a lot of torque, a lot of twisting power. Yeah. But when you're turning this whole pie dish around, you're generating massive amounts of torque. And you can accelerate that motor up to about 20,000 RPM spin cycle in your washing machine. Yeah, that's up to about 20,000 RPM. 20,000 RPM with massive amount of torque. You can drive a car with that easily.
Can I just add two things?
Sure.
First thing is, I Googled the most expensive thing in the world, and they actually, a couple of sites are saying it's antimatter at 17 billion a gram. But obviously, the thing is, it's a false thing, isn't it? Because there's no way that we can ever prove that item, whereas it can be proven. They said apparently it was 1700 trillion. This is ridiculous. And the other thing is, I have been a contractor working at Uxbridge Power Station, where they, I think it may be either the only coal or it's the oldest. I can't remember which, but there's something significant about it. And I do know that they do use, and I've seen it, they use coal. So it may be because they only come online now and again, that it may be that when the shit hits the fan and not the power through their other means, that they use this as up. But I just thought I'd just add that.
Thanks, Gary.
By the way, I'm enjoying it. Okay, back to you, Dave.
Oh no, just to say that the nuclear power stations and the whole idea. I don't know if anybody's come across a guy called Galen Windsor. Anyone?
No.
No. Well, look him up on YouTube. Galen Windsor, the nuclear scare scan. Yeah. He was a nuclear engineer from the very beginning of nuclear power stations. He designed them, he commissioned them, and worked through them. He was working with them from the very beginning, and he would tell stories. He actually sort of did a tour around America, trying to tell people not to believe what the government's telling them. And he started working with building these nuclear power stations. They would go swimming in the containment pools. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the guy you're talking about. Sorry, I do know the guy you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So he would carry around plutonium rods in his pockets. All you have to do is make sure they don't come together. It'll be fine. Yeah. You can keep one in one pocket, the other in the other pocket, and walk around all day with them. And he finishes off his talk by eating uranium. Yeah.
I think I saw that.
And he's
Actually on his head and okay.
he's saying that the government came in one day and said, okay, you're going to have to wear these dosimeters. And they said, what, why? You know, because we've been working with this for years. None of us have got sick. None of us have got any signs of any, you know, any harmful effects whatsoever. And they said, well, you wear these or you get fired. So they had to start wearing them. Then they started replacing everybody. And the next lot that came in didn't know, you know, anything other than the dosimeters.
Yeah.
And so I heard about that, and then I was on a Skype call. We used to have I used to be in this group. We had Skype calls like almost every other night, maybe 12 to 20 of us, and one guy came on, and he'd just come back from holiday in Hiroshima, and I was like, "What? You went to Hiroshima for a holiday? Isn't that a nuclear wasteland?" And he said, "No, it's a beautiful city. Doesn't everybody, you know, have radiation poisoning?" I said, "No, nobody's sick at all. It's perfectly fine." So then I thought, well, okay, what happened to Chernobyl then? Chernobyl, and it turns out nothing happened there either. There's a whole bunch of women who refuse to move out of the hot zone, and they're in their 80s back then, and they're still okay and around today, you know, and they still live in the nuclear hot zone. And
yeah, there's a wolf pack as well that lives in the Chernobyl hot zone. The Chernobyl wolves and stuff. They moved in because people moved out, so and they're perfectly fine as well.
I've always found the Fukushima a bit weird. Like, again, look what they did to us, and all the years we couldn't eat the sheep on the hills because a little bit of stuff came over whales and all that. And yet in Fukushima, with this thing blasting and letting out all this stuff all the time, they're actually moving back in. It's like, sod the wars, let's sort Fukushima out then. So it's all really weird. It's like everybody's pretending Fukushima's not happening. So if it's all fake, this is why. But like, you know how they've terrorised, they've told the Americans they're dying from Fukushima because that then keeps up their ball. You know, just like, it's just like, what? How can they be moving back like 45 miles from it? What, already?
Yeah. You know, the whole nuclear bomb thing, that's all fake. You know, it's just like the moon landing.
Yeah.
They create a fake thing, and they create all these movies, and you know, and then they terrorize the whole world with this idea, and they can use this idea of nuclear weapons to justify all sorts of things. But they haven't got nuclear weapons. You know, it's all fake.
And arms race, etc., etc. It's all the public fear. Eh? It needs to be in the public.
Yeah, they generated so much fear.
Yeah.
They had a whole generation carrying under tables.
Yeah, it's just an incredible.
Duck and cover.
Yeah, you know. I can remember in the 1970s, no, it was the 80s, they made this film about, well, they made two actually. They made this cartoon film of this couple, old couple.
Oh, the wind, some.
Yeah, I know.
In the wind.
Yes. That old couple.
Yeah.
And it scared it out of people. There's another one which was live action. What would happen if a nuclear bomb went off in Nottingham or something? And again, it scared the pants off of everybody.
They made a film about it, didn't they? Just to scare us even again. When I was like, I was probably about 17 or 18 when they made the whole film about how a nuclear bomb would go off and destroy us all. Do you remember it?
New York last time. That whole practicing stuff, and then especially mentioning the atomic bomb explosion.
Yeah, when you actually look into what happened at I can't remember where they did it. What did they do it? It was the Manhattan Project. You find that there was, along with the nuclear bomb, they sent off a team of engineers to pile up loads and loads of TNT. They said they were going to do that for comparative studies of, you know, the bomb against TNT. So, you know, why it's not beyond the realms of possibility that they just told a crew that, you know, oh, you're building the comparison, and they told another crew, oh, you're building the comparison, and then they just exploded this load of TNT.
Everything's always the opposite.
Part of the project.
I just think, you know, it's the same methodology they use for yeah. They made a big thing about this is what we've got, and but they couldn't do it, and they just used the illusion instead.
So what do you make of Harp and CERN then?
May exist. It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. Actually, I'm still a Doctor Who fan.
Someone's making a lot of noise, Wilson. Wilson, can you mute yourself? Sorry, Wilson.
Moving furniture.
Yeah, Wilson. That's it. He's muted now. Sorry, carry on then.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I'm still a Doctor Who fan, if you believe. Even though I know it's for kids, but I can still like it. I just downloaded the latest episode. Got all the themes in there. They've got like they start off in the Vatican. They find a portal that takes them to CERN. And the whole premise of the show is that they're all simulations. It's like I've only watched it once, and I'm going to have to sort of sit down and watch it again to pick it apart. But it had all the things in there, you know. The piss out of us, or they're trying to tell us something.
They drop it all in there. It's like with Star Wars. The remake of Star Wars, like Phantom Menace and that, if you look at the structure in that, and you've got this separatist group that actually turns out that they're the good guys and stuff, and it's again that they're just showing you exactly what's going on, but they don't tell you, if you know what I mean. And obviously they tell you the opposite, that these were the bad guys and blah 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 blah. And I mean, Star Trek, I'm a massive Star Trek fan as well. There's loads in Deep Space Nine about all this stuff as well. So,
well, I think the most telling thing is when you look at the Matrix. There's a bit that most people kind of just gloss over, and it's that speech, that weird speech by the architect. But if you listen to it, it's actually telling you who we are. Yeah, it's telling you the system to work and continue working. It must have a kind of relief valve. The ones who wake up escape. Otherwise, if they're left to stay in the Matrix, they'll destroy it. Allow, you know, the people to escape to Zion. Yeah. So that they can, you know, keep the integrity of the system. So think about what happens to us. Yeah, we wake up and we use their systems to try and communicate. But you know, you use Facebook, and eventually the algorithm, what it does is basically within a group of people who already know the stuff that you're talking about. Suddenly you're in a kind of cyber Zion where you're outside of their system, but you can only talk to each other.
And that way, the information itself, the whole paradigm shift, it is the disconnection of where where you were in the world where you grew up. Yeah.
It's
This is pretty much everything that goes on in my head. I love hearing it. This is so awesome. I just like sit back and take it all in.
Well,
Doctor Who is awesome show.
it is, isn't it? But I might have to stop watching it because they're bringing in they're really bringing in the homosexual agenda because you know, the latest lesbian, and they're like pushing it in your face every episode now. So I'm set up with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy just how this kind of thing is like so ingrained in us almost, like because it's like the first thing if anybody mentions transgender on Facebook or anything, you just get all these people jumping on. You can't say that about those to choose, and it's like, no, we're not saying this. We're saying that it's a brainwashing thing, that it's not a choice. They're thinking they're choosing. All part of this brainwashing. So we're not having to go at gay and lesbians. We're having to go at the brainwashing system that could possibly have turned them gay and lesbian or made it. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've always been quite straight, and it's always weirded me out. I've never been like homophobic.
It's the same thing though, isn't it? For those people, it's making a reality that wasn't really there in the first place, and making them believe that that's the way it is, or that's what they're wanting to do to them. But everything, like
I was actually just talking to a lesbian Hebrew Israelite, and you know, it's actually changing her now, because she's actually found the Bible, and she's you know, she started to look at herself, and she started to realise that she was manipulated by the system. She felt, and this is what's going on. You know, with men poisoned with like BPA, which is in every plastic. Got BPA in it, a synthetic hormone. Criminalises men.
It's slightly more regulated in the UK now, I believe. But yeah, no, it's. I mean, it's not just that. I mean, beer. Richard, beer guy, but yeah, I mean, there's estrogen like in beer and stuff as well, and that's why men get the old beer bellies and the man boobs and stuff. I mean, it's yeah.
And then now there's this atrazine stuff they're putting in everything. That you know, they discovered it turns, you know, male frogs into female frogs.
Yeah.
Get it out there, put it in everything.
cereals aren't very good for you either, are they? And neither is suntan lotion. You know, again, they've done these things with the sun. They've told you the sun causes cancer when it doesn't. They've told you not to go into the sun and slap factor 50 on our babies, which is all chemicals. And these chemicals go into the body and they go to the liver. And is it wonder that maybe all these children are becoming ill? Because that's not the only thing they're doing to us. Then we need the negative ions out the ground. They've got us in plastic shoes, which doesn't conduct it. They're tampering with our water, with our air. And it just goes on. And it's just... Salt. Salt is the other thing. Like, doctors know that cancer patients are salt deficient, and not just that, salt tablets are now prescribed for depression. So everything's the other way round. So they're keeping us away from, you know, it's not just because the sun is warm. It gives us really good rays we need every day for our soul, it's food. It's food.
I think we all know this now, don't we all? Most instinctively, it's like you see the sun out and you feel good. You go out in the sun, you feel better. I mean, and then you'll have a few days where it's raining, and your mood will shoot down. I mean, or I know mine does.
You know,
I mean, I'm a sufferer of SADS as well. So yeah, I know just how integral the sun is to my mood as well. So yeah.
But maybe it's because now you realise why you want it. You know, now why it's there. It's not just there as another light in the sky, because we've got two light sources, haven't we? The sun and a light source. But it's actually food for our bodies.
I do have to say though, the sun is dangerous for some people. Yeah, the real white people, the you know, that bloodline, the sun is deadly to them. This is where you're getting the myths of vampires, because that bloodline, they couldn't go out in the sun because they would get skin cancer. Yeah, you know, they only came out at night, so they needed human blood to survive. Yeah, they had to eat humans as well. One of the effects of this thing is called, I think they've got a name for it. It's called porphyria. Traits of it is that your canine teeth were longer than the rest of them, and you had a sensitivity to garlic as well. This is, I'm not making this up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And
in all these stories, many things we think are creations or fantasies, etc. But actually, the whole industry is just based on actual things, as they just can't create it themselves. They are not the creators. They are not able to do it. They can only copy it and present it in another way or hide it in another way. They're very clever, but they can't create it.
Yeah, they make it cool though.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes' Blade. I think that really kicked off the whole vampire thing, didn't it, and stuff like so. Yeah, so you make it cool and that's it. But maybe this is where this melanin. This is coming in, and now they can go out in the sun, so they're even less recognizable now because they are out and about and stuff, because they're using the melanin. So
great.
And literally, if you go back to the royal family's one of their progenitors, it was a guy called Vlad the Impaler, and if you can find a statue of him, and he's got the vampire teeth. You know, he looks evil as well, and he used to drink blood all the time. You know, look up his story. He used to drink blood. He used to eat the peasants. If they made, you know, anything, they did anything wrong, they'd end up eaten by Vlad the Impaler. And he'd you know, he got his name because he'd impale their heads on spikes and leave them outside his castle.
Yeah, but have you noticed in recent times though they've almost tried to say, oh no, he wasn't that bad, he was okay actually, and he did a lot of good stuff and all this, like, and again it's just distorting the truth to help with their agenda.
Yeah, rebranding it all.
Yeah, rebranding it.
Richard had a question or something to say, didn't you, Richard? We've moved along a little bit now, but you just sent me a message, but I think you should say it. Richard?
1 minute, I can't remember.
It's about oestrogen.
Oh, sorry, the estrogen I meant.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know, I just heard it from somewhere that estrogen can't be filtered out of water through like the methods that they are using.
It can be distilled though. It can be distilled out.
Yeah.
So I only drink distilled water.
I just add that I do as well.
Yeah, I need to get on that. I mean, I'm working on my diet now. I mean, I've cut out meat and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I've even started a bit of the old urine therapy on occasion, but I don't think my diet's quite there yet, to be honest.
It doesn't have to be. You can start any time, and what it will do is it'll actually help you move towards a better diet, because initially, when you eat something your body doesn't like, you'll taste it in your urine, and then after a while you won't even need that feedback, right? As soon as you eat something your body doesn't like, you'll feel it, you know.
Right, yeah.
I do now. If I eat you know, crappy chocolate, you know, occasionally I used to, you know, sneak in a bar with a crappy bar of Cadbury's chocolate, you know, really nasty stuff. Yeah? I'd eat it, and then I'd feel my stomach filling up with water, because I know what's happening. It's like filling up water to flush out the crap I've just eaten. So yeah, you end up getting to feel how your body responds to the stuff you're eating. So so yeah, it's, yeah, you can start any time, and it'll actually help you.
Oh yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, most mornings now, I mean, I stand there like just midstream, cup my hand, and just have a couple of licks more than anything else. I'm just getting used to the taste more than anything at the moment, to be fair.
Yeah, well,
Dave, can I ask you, do you know what the pH level is on the distilled water? Because I drink that too, and I can't, on what I'm buying, I can't think what it's called now. It doesn't actually mention what the pH is.
right. Well, it will come out. I've tried it. I've poured it on some pH strips. It comes out slightly more acidic than tap water. Okay, but it does not have an acidifying effect on the body.
Because you probably do you agree though that alkaline, it's a high pH. Because apparently if it's low pH, it can actually help cause cancer, or anything that's low pH. Because our blood apparently is 7.3.
Yeah, everything, anything in the, is anything that acidifies the body. Yeah, it can cause cancer. But as I said, distilled water does not seem to have an acidifying effect on the body, just like lemon juice doesn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen about lemon juice having an alkaline effect on the body, even though it's an acid. So yeah.
Yeah. So what I did to test this is, when I found out that distilled water was slightly acidic, I would just keep testing my pH, and I drink lots of distilled water. It wouldn't affect my pH.
So Dave, you see on the internet though that some claims are massively for it, and there's always the old the people trying to knock it as well and say, oh, it takes out electrolytes, but it's actually got electrolytes in it. So it's for every argument there's always a counter argument, it seems. But I swear by distilled water. Yeah. You're actually putting in the best water into your system.
Well, apparently you can revitalize distilled water using a vortex device as well.
Yeah, you can produce, add anything to it.
I guess so, because there are people saying that it's it's dead water, but as far as I'm concerned, it's pure water.
Yeah, it's taking out all the rubbish, isn't it? It's just basically what they did. They did research based on the equivalent of what would come out of the sky, was the equivalent of distilled water. So people doing it actually thought, well, all they're doing is matching that.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously there's an agenda to stop people from using distilled water, but at the end of the day, well, what they've done is they've reversed everything. Yeah, in the past, what they call anecdotal evidence was all the evidence you needed. Yeah, so if it worked for everybody, then that's good enough. Yeah, but now they've switched it around to say that if this panel of doctors say it's good, then it's good. If they don't say it's good, then it's not. Doesn't matter whether it cures you and makes you feel great and has no side effects and is brilliant. No, unless these doctors say it's good, then you can't trust it. So no, it's I don't hold with anything doctors say anymore. If if I talk to people and they've tried it and it works, then that's good enough for me.
I'll just ask you, Dave. Obviously that I think we were saying on one of the hangouts the other night about mobile phones and technology and how basically, if you think about it, they were trying to bring in the ID thing a couple of years ago. They don't need to with the phones and all the infrastructure, that's the data they have on us. But I'm a great believer in, like, when I go to bed at night, I turn off my Wi-Fi, because even though I'm in a house where I can't actually turn off the Wi-Fi, it's actually, if you can, it's worth it, because even though it's only a very mild radiation, it's that accumulation over years that builds up, and I just think that doesn't do us any good.
Well, yeah, every part of the technology that we've been given is harmful to us. Yeah, they don't give us any technology that isn't harmful. So you know, that they could make mobile phones, yeah, that don't kill us, that don't harm us in any way, but they, you know, make it so it harms us. You know, they make Wi-Fi. They could use frequencies that don't affect us in any way, but they choose exactly the frequency that affects us. Yeah.
I can understand them doing it from a point of view of control, but I just don't understand why they do it where it actually harms us, like cancer and other things, which I believe is actually, you know, let's face it, we've all heard rumours, you know, and they have found cures years ago, but it's been suppressed. But surely it's actually better for them to have as many sheep as possible.
No, they've said time and time again, there's too many of us here. They want 500 million. That's all they want.
Is it Agenda 21?
Now it's Agenda 2030, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that actually 2030 as in like a year?
Yeah.
21 was literally 3-4 years time. Revised.
No, Agenda 21 was to say the 21st century.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I heard of 21, but I hadn't heard of 30.
Yeah, they've just revised it. But they want to reduce the population to 500 million, yeah? And, you know, so they need to get, like, rid of 6.5 billion of us.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, literally, before November, around, I was not into conspiracies, and I used to walk around saying that exact same thing. The world order existed. It was only after my like awakening that I found out what a terrible person I was before. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I've got a lot of making up to do at the moment. I've got a lot of bad karma coming my way, and I'm trying to make up for it as best I can, like just being a decent person and stuff. But yeah, it's just amazing how indoctrinated you are without even knowing it, because I didn't have a clue.
D, do you remember when we went to Leicestershire, the Mandela effect, when what you said about Nelson Mandela?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, to be fair, all right, I watched 2 Mandela effect videos before I found the flat Earth one, and it was the flat Earth one that woke me up to all these other conspiracies. But yeah, basically with the Mandela effect, I do remember Nelson Mandela dying in 1991. I remember a school assembly where we had a 2-minute silence and all this kind of stuff. So can't explain it myself, but because there's plenty of people that don't remember this. They do. I mean, I didn't even know he was president of South Africa for years, but I never really watched the news anyway. I was more into my TV series and documentaries and stuff.
I remember Nelson Mandela dying as well, but I didn't give the Mandela effect much interest, because I thought, well, maybe I'd made a mistake, and I left it at that. But what got me was C-3PO's silver leg.
Yeah, I saw you do. Yeah, I've seen you speak on that. Where you, I
did.
There's no way.
Yeah, well, you can see. I mean, you can probably see by my avatar, massive Star Wars fan myself. Yeah. But I mean, the only Mandela effect I can't discard as bad memory is the fact that, I mean, if we do live in a galaxy or of some sort, we've been moved from the Sagittarius arm to the Orion arm on the completely the opposite side of the galaxy. That one for me, that's the one that gets me the most.
Okay, I don't know that one.
But yeah. But well, basically, we used to, where I was growing up, used to be really into documentaries and everything. And I remember knowing that I was in the Sagittarius arm, right on the very outskirts of the galaxy.
And
now we're on the opposite side in the Orion, but we're only in the mid part of the belt. We're not even anywhere near the outside. So
okay. So I've got a bit of a theory about the Mandela effect, actually. Now, they say that the physicists say that we have like a parallel universes, yeah. So that every time is made or something changes, you know, a new galaxy or a new universe splits off, and you get like you've got sort of an infinite number of universes getting created at all times. Now, I don't hold with that. I think it's not parallel universes, it's parallel probabilities. Like an infinite number of parallel probabilities, and it collapses down to one that becomes reality. And what I think is happening is that that D-wave computer, you know, including CERN, CERN's got one. If you listen to how they describe how the D-wave works,
it's scary stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Well, how they describe it is that you know, when you try and calculate an answer, you're going in a kind of linear way to calculate it, yeah, sort of step by step to arrive at an answer, or you step and try one answer, it's wrong, step along, try another answer, and so on. What this does uses multiple realities, considers all these multiple realities at once, and pulls in the reality where that has the right answer, essentially. So rather than calculate it, it goes to the reality where that answer is
it's already been calculated.
And it pulls that in. So literally, it's actually going to a parallel probability that of world with that answer in it. Yeah.
See, I like that idea actually, because that goes quite well with what I used to know about quantum physics and stuff. And it's like yeah, infinite probability out there, but it's not until you observe or experience the probability that actually becomes real. So yeah.
Yeah. So we've observed this probability, this particular version of reality. They go use their D-wave computer, and they pull out a different version and bring that into our reality. And now the reality's changed, but our memory of it is different.
Yeah.
Any of you seen the film Kill Switch? It's actually not officially due out to next month, but they talk a little bit about it.
Kill Switch.
Yeah, it's not a very good film, and it's not really covered in depth. It's only literally a few paragraphs within the film that's actually covering it. But basically, they're talking about a parallel universe, and they're trying to harness parallel universe, but the sky is jumping or jump from one to the other. You know, he died in one universe, but he came back from the other. It's not a very good film. It's really badly made, but it's due out for release next month. But I watched it online.
I'm going to find it myself, see if I can download it.
What do you think of
Kill Switch
series? Your eye on your Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Karen. I can actually send you the link if you can't find it, Dave.
Okay, I'd appreciate it.
It's only touches on it though. It's like a background, you know, way, and it's talking about one street light. That's right. It's only a small part of it, isn't it?
You know, I scan films for one single word sometimes. So.
Yes. Sorry, Karen, I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. It's a series. One of series' favourite films is The 13th Floor, isn't it? Series.
Yeah. Functionality. I don't know if you know another movie, 13th Floor.
I've heard of it.
I've seen it. There's an old mini-series you can look for as well called The Lost Room. That's quite interesting. Yeah, well, just another one. Just if you can find it, The Lost Room. It's quite an old one, but it's another one of these mind-expanding sort of I Wonder type TV series things.
Can I just say something? The two ladies, apart from me in the room, have been very quiet tonight and haven't said very much. Does Frankie or Patricia want to ask Dave anything, say anything?
No, I've just sat here listening, thank you.
Patricia? Patricia?
I'm just fascinated because, like Wilson said, it's what's been going round in my brain. It's just nice to hear other people just sound as crazy as me sometimes.
You sound as sane as you.
Crazy.
Well, the one thing they never wanted, they didn't want us to think. They didn't want us to think at all, did they? They just wanted us to follow, which is what
Thanks a lot.
false, footballs, false gods, the television. Wilson's gone on and on about it. What's really changed from the Roman days? We've just got the television instead. That's the arena today.
Well, now it's the internet, but yeah.
And
We're still in the Roman Empire. This is the thing. It's still a Roman Empire.
Yeah, Roman Catholic Church, isn't it? So there's still predominant church in England. So
I mean, you can actually follow the progression of this bloodline through the architecture. You go to Turkey, you'll see a certain type. Oh, you go to Petra, where it started basically, and you see a certain type of architecture. You go to Turkey, you'll see the same architecture where they moved to Turkey, and then the same architecture. You go to Greece, same architecture. Rome, same architecture. London, same architecture. America, same architecture.
Canada, the same architecture. Hey, Wilson?
Yeah, is it? The same sort of triangular facade held up by columns with kind of like leaf type things at the top and columns. That's their architecture, and you can actually trace their movements through the architecture they've been putting up.
yes, you find them everywhere. So yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Greece. You'll find that there's 3 layers of people in Greece, and
Can you guys hear me?
Sorry?
Picking up a little bit there, Wilson, but I can kind of hear you.
I like everything everybody's saying. It's like you've been in my head all this time, and it's really, really cool because Dave just was saying things, everything that I think. Go and check it out. It's called New Earth, one word. A lot of the things that you're talking about, right on the money. Of the very first periods.
Wilson, we can't hear you.
Basically, to be a king, it was the warrior who used his sword. Became a samurai.
Wilson, we can't hear you, darling.
The Roman Empire.
Let him go.
Pardon?
We can't hear you. You're breaking up again.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
No.
Still breaking up.
Okay. Can you hear me?
That's my edit with Wilson because he's got so much to say and I really want to hear it, but he keeps breaking up.
We can't hear you, Wilson.
No, you're breaking up still, mate.
Just leave the
gutted as well,
hangout and
like I
come
say.
back. Leave the hangout and come back again. Sorry about that, Dave. You always have to have a technical problem somewhere along the line.
Sorry, I've got to say, I have a kind of podcast interview in about half an hour. So I'm going to have to drop off probably in about 15 minutes or so.
Oh, thank you so much for telling us.
Yeah, no, I imagine you want a little break before it as well.
Dave, before you go, obviously I wrote to you the other day about the potential Flat Earth conference or convention that we're looking at for next year. Is that something that's definitely of interest to you?
Absolutely.
Excellent. At this moment, it looks like we may have, I mean, it's early doors, but we look like we've got 3 UK speakers and 5 from Europe.
Okay, sounds good.
It's obviously early days, we're getting everything organised, but and we're looking at, we've chosen a date in March, well, not a date, but a month of March, only to give time to organise it and just to make sure that it's not going on straight Christmas, really.
Okay.
I'll keep you posted.
Thank you so much. Will you come back on another hangout, obviously in a few weeks' time or something with us?
Sure. As I said, I'm going to be going to be in California for the next 3 weeks or so. Leaving on Sunday, and yeah, I'll be away for about 3 weeks.
Sorry, Wilson, I can't hear. So when are you going away?
Oh,
Sunday. For how long again? Sorry, I didn't hear that bit.
okay. Oh,
Yeah.
There's a.
Wilson, mute yourself.
Wilson, please mute yourself.
Yes.
Please
Can you
mute.
mute yourself?
Yeah. Say I'm off to California on Sunday. I'll be away for about 3 weeks.
Okay.
But, while I may well be online, so just keep me in the loop. I might be able to jump on.
Well, we don't mind waiting till you get back.
Say again.
We don't mind waiting till you get back.
Okay. Well, yeah. So it's just about 3 weeks, and I'll be back.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I've really enjoyed it. It's a shame that
So I'm not sure I can wait 3 weeks. It's got so much to say.
I found in Worthing, you're a very interesting guy, and you've got so much depth of knowledge on so many fronts. It's really is quite a revelation, really.
Can I also say, you've also sat there showing us your face. We've been on Hangouts where people won't show us their faces. And there's a lot of people with their cameras off right now. I only turned it off because I was, the Hangout, my computer. But can everybody come back and show their faces so that Dave can just see who he's been talking to?
The only reason why I have mine off is only just so it doesn't add to the signal strength, really.
Yeah, it's bandwidth for me as well.
Just so that Dave can see who he's been.
Been the doc. No.
Not everybody's come back. Well, here comes Richard. I know Wilson. We told Wilson to mute.
I've tried, but it's not actually showing me.
Well, Dave saw you anyway, I suppose.
Well, it's been a pleasure to be we're in your group, and yeah, I'll wait till I get back to it. It's been fun.
It's been great, Dave. Well done. Thank you very much.
It's been brilliant.
Yes, thank you ever so much, Dave.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
Bye. So yeah, I'll catch you soon.
Yes.
Good luck.
Don't forget. What's the presentation video I made for you?
Yeah, watch the presentation
Oh, yeah,
video.
sure. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
changed the link to the YouTube version.
I'll catch you.
Look out the window for the curve.
Sorry?
Look out the window when you fly to California. Look out the window for the curve. I always try and use the opportunity to actually speak to the pilots. So I'll probably be doing that after the flight. So
Well, if
Yeah.
you can get a spirit level, try and take a spirit level as well, maybe.
I've loaded one onto my my tab. So I have a spirit level, a compass, and I always check the direction with the direction of the plane. It's always wrong.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. So anyway, I'll catch you all later. Anyway.
Okay, good luck.
Really
Dave.
enjoyed that.
Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, Dave.
He's an awesome guy, isn't he?
Woo!
One of the best I saw I came across indeed.
Yeah, he was brilliant. It's just so natural. Yeah.
Depth of knowledge as well. Isn't he? And his delivery is good.
Mhm.
To Wilson as well.
He even understood
Yeah,
stuff
that's what
about
I mean. I'm
maths.
so gutted Wilson keeps popping out because he's just got so much to say, and I'm quite happy to sit and listen to Wilson all day. Like I say, I mean, he's another one that's just got so much.
But it's not only, it's like the whole style, isn't it?
What's happened to Alan? Is Alan there? I can see him, but he's like not there, but he's there.
I just crashed.
Actually, for the wind pressure.
Can't.
Okay, you back now then?
Mhm.
He's back.
I used that once.
Right, guys, listen, I've got to go now. Okay.
Did
so
you enjoy
I'll
that,
see you all
Frankie?
again soon.
Frankie, enjoyed that.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Frankie.
Bye.
So everybody else enjoyed that then?
Oh, really good.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I got in at late, 9:05, but it was very, very good. It was probably one of, for me, it's the best hangout we've had that I've been involved in.
Hell yeah.
How long was it? 3 hours? 2 hours?
Yeah.
I came on it.
Shall I just say, I did record
9.
it. I did record it, but just for the group, can we just say goodbye and then have a little chat afterwards now? Because obviously we've been filming this for however long it is. Anyway, group hug to everybody.
Yeah, let's
We do today.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed that.
That's for the